No, well, that's they actually that's the part of the initiation is that they give once you join the group they give you a pair of Velcro gloves.
Hi everyone, this is the Alpha and Omega, Kirby. Welcome to the Real Gamerscore podcast. This week I am joined by Betas and Kappas Matt.
Howdy.
And Tarragon.
Hello.
Here at the Real Gamerscore podcast, we like to discuss all things Xbox, achievements, alligator wrestling, and Velcro gloves. This week we talk about simulated latency, Tarragon's matchmaking services, and growing up in a book-carrying household. But first, here's the Song of the Week.
Climbing, falling, stumbling round, trying to get to the ledge out of reach.
'Cause we're trying to get those achieves.
You know this game's confusing. The physics puzzles, they don't make no sense at all.
Running round in circles till we restart.
But this game won't beat us now. We are a team. We earn the achievements.
Climbing,
falling, stumbling round, trying to get to the ledge out of reach. 'Cause we're trying to get my achieves. We'll get them achieves.
Alright, so that was a lovely little duet from Matt and myself. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get it. It's a little bit obscure. I think if you existed in like 2000, if you were sort of childish age or had kids in 2006 that were a little bit older, you'll probably have some idea, but you might have no idea. It could be really just so obscure that no one gets it. It'd be great.
It's one of those songs that gets stuck in your head because someone sings it once at you and you never get out of your ears.
Yep, or you have to play it 3 times on the Xbox, and you swear that it's not the same people that sung it originally, and it's definitely, I'm pretty sure, different voices, but you haven't heard it in so long you're not quite sure. Anyway,
I'm kind of glad I could not recognise it at all.
Yeah, honestly, it's a little embarrassing to actually know this myself. So last week's song, we had... I don't know what we had, to be honest. What did we have, Matt?
It was Bow River by Cold Chisel.
See, you would know that one, Tarragon.
Yeah, Tarragon would know that song.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. It is completely above my head. Speaking of...
look, Brad got it straight away, so I don't feel too bad about it, at least.
He did. So did the one other person that entered with that song. So, to be fair, you got more votes than I did with Blitzkrieg Bop. So, I mean, what are you going to do?
I'll take all the validation I can get. I just wanted to sing that song.
Speaking of Tarragon, we are very glad to have him replacing Alex on the show this week.
Wait, you were speaking of me? Hi there.
Sorry, you stumped me. Yeah, my brain. I was like, was I speaking of him? What? I had a meltdown. How have you been?
A bit mixed, but yeah, I won't go into too many details. But yeah, I've been a bit up and down. Had some things to deal with, but yeah, otherwise okay. Not gaming on Xbox as much these days, obviously, but yeah, things are going okay, I guess. How about you?
Yeah, good. I mean, to most of the listeners, you're going to sound exactly the same as Alex, so they won't even know he's gone.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
one Australian, 2 Australians.
It's pretty much the same. Look, they can't tell me apart from Alex or Tarragon. It's all, and then there's the guy with the funny accent.
Yep. That's. Oh, is that when Planting's not on the show anymore?
Well, no, he hasn't responded to the message, so he's not on the show. the message was sent on Discord. If you would like to join the Discord and join in the conversation and have a chat with all of us and tell us how awful that duet was, don't answer it. You need. Oh, I forgot to mention all the competition stuff with the song of the week, didn't I? Quick little backtrack. Send your answer to what that duet was to the Real Gamerscore account on TrueAchievements.com. Oh, you're all glad Alex isn't here this week. This is already falling apart.
Whenever I always like to reverse right into my podcast rather than driving straight ahead.
Yeah. This is a train on a roundabout. You don't know where we start or where we end. Join in the Discord. Discord.io/RealGamerscore. You can join up. You can chat with us. We got people all over the world talking, so there's conversations can be had at all times of night. Plus, I don't sleep that often, so I'm usually up. If I don't respond, I'm either sleeping or ignoring you. It's probably the former. It might be the latter, depending on who you are.
That explains all of that.
Oh yeah, you should see the staff Discord. It's basically like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We just keep yelling his name, but he never responds.
They keep talking to me in that Elite Dangerous channel, and it's muted to all. It's in the corner, away from everything, so I don't even have to pretend to look at it.
One day,
yeah.
I will be waiting.
If you hear the show and you're like, these guys are pretty good, I would like to support them financially. Well, first of all, thank you. You can at patreon.com/realgamerscore, and you'll be able to hear all of the nonsense we talk about before the show, which is usually the best bits, because the show is actually... We literally, before we did this, we went through all the news and talked about whether we wanted to do it and stuff. And we pretty much did it in the outtakes. This is almost the worst version of the news.
What we should do, actually, is we should take the outtakes and put them into the news section, and we'll do the news section as the outtakes. That might work better.
Yeah, because all the good stuff happens before.
I mean, whenever Chin releases the outtakes, it's usually a bit out of date. But
we don't talk about this because it's a new month and it hasn't happened yet. We don't speak those words. And I'm looking at it, I think I've... It's because I got real busy the last 2 weeks of the month, and then I looked at it, I'm like, I don't really feel like listening to myself for an hour and a half. Well,
Jeez, imagine how I feel.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was like, you don't have to listen to yourself. Yeah, nah, you're right. We'll just move on real quick. We do have our random to-do list contest where you earn an achievement in your random to-do list and then send the answer to a trivia question, which for last month was another game with the word infinity in it, in the title, for the prize Subdivision Infinity DX. Considering it's really early in the month, I will leave that open and we'll draw it next week to give more people time to enter just with their trivia entries. It is too late to get in your unlocks for August. Nailed it. Months. Whew. If you would like a list for September, you can send a friend request or a message over to the Random To-Do List account on True Achievements. That's all one word in Random To-Do List. Or send me a message on Discord or on True Achievements and I'll get you sorted. We haven't thought of a prize yet for September. We do have some, but I figured we'll wait till August gets drawn and then announce it next week. And Patreon prize will be announced next week as well. So good luck to all our patrons. It's also too late for you to get into the August patron drawing because it's now September. But it's not too late for September.
So get in now.
Yeah. The earlier you get in, the more time you have to get up because you realize it's actually a terrible decision.
Actually, yeah. So actually just sit on it for a little bit. How about that?
Sign up, because then you've got all month to unsign up or forget. And
yeah.
And then you just end up giving us money, which is
I
an
keep
ideal
forgetting that
situation.
we're on the Spotify business model.
I mean, I need some funds to drink when I'm down at PAX, so I just need all of you to sign up and forget about it, please.
And if a bunch of you sign up, we'll get a panel room together. We'll do a whole live podcast. We'll get
did apply
elephants.
for a
we'll get
panel
circus
room.
stuff. absolutely.
I didn't hear back from them, funnily enough. But
we just obviously not greasing enough palms with the Patreon money.
I didn't tell them we have a Patreon, so, and that we have at least.
If you'd done that, they would have given us a VIP table and everything.
There were at least 3 people coming to listen. Are you planning on attending PAX, Tarragon? I know probably not, but I figured I'd.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to PAX. My passion lately has actually become board games. So I've kind of moved away from achievements and moved into board games, and I buy too many board games now. But I'll be spending a bit of time in the board game area, I suspect. At PAX.
They have released recently Pandemic on Xbox One.
I did see that, and I was very tempted, but I'm playing through Pandemic Legacy, which is, I don't know if you know anything about Pandemic Legacy or legacy styles of games, but it's essentially an ongoing...
Literally nothing.
It's essentially, you play it, and it's modifiable, so you play it in a campaign, essentially, and as you play through, you actually modify the board directly based on what happens in the game. So, like, if you do really badly, and like towns get cities get overrun by the virus or whatever, they'll get like panic levels increasing and things like that. And as the game goes on, they add more rules and more difficult things come in, and like certain viruses can't be cured, and just all this other stuff that you got to do. So it's and you're like it's literally you're ripping up components and destroying parts of things, and yeah, it's essentially I'll play through once, but it lasts for like a year. You can play like 12 months worth of this kind of campaign. So that's why I've been playing a lot. So I'm kind of more interested in the physical game at the moment rather than the virtual. But it did tempt me, I must say.
Yeah. So
the legacy stuff is really, really fascinating. What they've been doing with board games and trying to make them a bit more sort of dynamic and a bit more interesting in the same way that sort of video games did for board games back in the day when they first started making them digital. But it's also why they cost like $1,000 to buy one of those boards, just about, right?
Well, not that much, but yeah, I guess I am also playing another game which is kind of a legacy-ish kind of game called Gloomhaven, which has been persistently ranked in the top 10 on Board Game Geek for like the last year and a half, 2 years. But it's essentially another big, long campaign legacy style kind of game, and you've got stickers that you put onto a map as you unlock them, and you dot them off, and there's like you go through it, and it blocks off certain things if you choose certain parts of the sort of campaign. Like if you go a bad way or a good way, it'll unlock or lock various bits and pieces off. And no 2 campaigns will ever be the same, and you unlock different characters and so forth over time. But it's essentially like a sort of mini condensed RPG tactical kind of game, but into a board game kind of format that you can sit down and do in like 2-hour chunks. So it's really good. I play that once a week, and I'm going to be playing it for a long time because there's a lot of content. But I mean, that was about $180, I think, for the full box, and that's probably one of the more expensive games you're going to get, at least in retail. There's certainly some crazy Kickstarter games out there that are much, much, much more expensive than that. But yeah, that's another story and another topic. This is a gaming podcast, not a board gaming podcast. So I'll stop talking now.
I spend a lot of it being
that's
bored.
Fine. We'll get the spin-off going. I mean, this is the most relevant tangent we've had in a long time.
Right.
So,
now those I know we said we'd move away, but is that because I remember in the zzZ podcast, Freeman would talk about his pirate game or whatever. That was kind of the one and done where. Once you'd used it, you had to get like a new set because sort of the hidden things were open and everything was revealed. Is that the same for these that you're playing, or?
Yeah, certainly Pandemic Legacy, yes, because as you go through each month, you essentially open up a bunch of like hidden boxes and things like that, which give you new components and new rules which are added to the game, and so they're revealed, and you know what you're kind of expecting. Yeah. You could reset it, but it'd be very difficult. Gloomhaven, on the other hand, you can actually buy a specific kit for it, which allows you to essentially reset the game after you've played through the campaign. So. And there's no real destruction of components in Gloomhaven unless you want to do that. In Pandemic Legacy, is like they have the little cards at the end of the month. Once you've completed a month, you scratch it off and you reveal like a special power for the next month. So you're actually destroying a component, essentially doing that. And there's also characters can get essentially injured or they get scars, and if they get enough scars, they're destroyed, like they're basically dead in the game. You can't play that character anymore. And what you're supposed to do there is, like, if you're putting stickers onto the cards, they become a permanent part of that character, and so removing those stickers and trying to replace them is not something that's really going to happen in Legacy.
Yep.
Yeah, but Gloomhaven's definitely resettable if you're careful with it, which I have been, so...
Okay. Speaking of... I figured this is a good time to tangent off into somewhat related board games. We are looking, thanks to Clowntastic, who's raised it to our attention, we are looking at probably this weekend and future weekends as well, running a secret Hitler, because there's now is a online way of doing it, which, you know, will probably be in a party of some kind, and or maybe in the Discord, and so that we can all yell at each other. But if you are interested, or if any of the listeners are interested on getting in on the Secret Hitler game, feel free to let me know, and we'll organise a time, and that sort of works for everyone, because I know we have time zones everywhere, but we'll try and find a reasonably appropriate time to get this game set up, and, you know, we may even do multiple times to accommodate for different time zones, and because I know I'll play it as... I've loved those, you know, the Secret Hitler, the One Night Werewolf, all those types of games.
So they're called social deduction type games, and yeah, with hidden actors essentially, or hidden traitors. So yeah, they're quite fun. Again,
more tangents. I remember the first time I played one of these, I was in Japan, and it was basically some of the English teachers, so the ones that have come from overseas, who are doing like a program and just teaching Japanese schools. And the one thing I remember the most was trying to convince everyone that the female teacher from New Zealand was a traitor because she's from fake Australia and you can't trust them. And she did turn out to be a traitor, and at the end the traitors won, and I just got up and screamed, "You can't trust fake Australia!" It was...
As someone who is from fake Australia, I would...
Is that the accent?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, fake Australia, yeah.
But wait.
Dollary days!
If you're telling us that you can't trust you, then... And we can't trust you because you're from fake Australia, that means we can... No.
I'm pretty good at the social deduction stuff.
Everything I say is a lie?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
No.
This statement is a lie.
All right, now that we spent 20 minutes on board games, Telltale Games. I love the tangents. It's great. Telltale Games is sort of the phrasing that keeps being used is revived, resurrected, brought back from the dead, and I feel it is kind of like that in a necromancy sort of way, where the soul is not in the body anymore. And it's
just
literally the rotting corpse.
The rotting corpse
shambling
of Telltale
around.
Games.
Yes,
has been brought back thanks to a company called LCG Entertainment. The studio is going to be overseen by Jamie Otterly and Brian Waddle, with some of the Telltale Game employees being offered roles on a freelance basis, which is kind of a kick to the stomach when you've been fired from a place and then you're later offered a freelance role back at that quote kind of the same place.
In all fairness, it's been quite a while since Telltale shut down at this point. You know, like, obviously I understand that it would be great to give everyone their jobs back, but a lot of those people would have moved on with their lives. I mean, they would have had to at this point to eat.
Oh, I hope so. I hope they got jobs and...
Yeah, exactly, right? So
it's probably also arguable that Telltale, the company, wasn't really... It wouldn't have kept going the way it was, and so simply just rehiring all of the people and getting them to do exactly the same job again wouldn't work, because the company failed for a reason. So yeah, it would need to be done differently. You'd need to hire it on with an entirely different kind of sort of structure, which I suspect is what they're doing. Yeah, I don't know. The way I read this particular announcement, it was more about distributing the games that had already been released, essentially, less about making new games. So I suspect there'll just be a lot more ports of the same old games, and we probably won't see necessarily anything new, but we might, never know. But yeah, I don't feel it's going to be anything new.
oddly told Polygon that they're evaluating their purchases and some of their expired licenses, and that they're interested in wanting to continue some of the stories that were presented. I doubt they'll be able to get Game of Thrones back, or if they still had
probably not.
That. Yeah, I don't know whether
it might have a more satisfying conclusion than the actual show. So who knows?
Then again, the moment for that is probably past, given the show's ended.
Yeah, exactly.
Batman would probably be the one that they'd want to do, because people always buy Batman.
Maybe Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, Borderlands potentially, but I would say probably the Batman and Wolf Among Us, because they're both DC Vertigo comics, right?
Yeah.
So there's probably, if they get one, they'd probably get both. And the second season of Batman was very, very well received.
Just didn't make any money.
No.
And it's also, from what I hear, it's an expensive license too, understandably.
Yeah, they've said that they kind of liked the Telltale model of episodic stuff, but that they're more interested in the binge watching side of things. So whether they, if they released the full game, 5 episodes, you can play all 5 episodes right now, or you can play one, take a break, come back. It'll still work, if that makes sense. Like it'll still feel like Telltale, but or you can just play it all in one go.
Yeah, it wasn't the reason it went episodic with The Walking Dead in the first place, was because they needed something to go out quickly to actually return some money, and to do that, they basically put it out as an episode, then they could be working on the next episode whilst raking in the money from episode 1, which is kind of the loop they got into, I guess, and what was kind of the downfall of the company ultimately. But it has been also successful with other companies, like Life is Strange was exactly the same thing. They released the episode of Life is Strange episode 1, and that was very successful, and allowed them to keep developing on episode 2. If it hadn't been successful, then we might not have seen the end of Life is Strange. So it's just different companies, I guess, different targets. I think Telltale tried to milk it a bit too much. And,
they spread themselves a bit too thin.
Yeah, exactly.
Too many properties, not enough original IP, too many licenses to pay out. It all kind of all fell in on itself.
Yeah, not updating the tech either.
That too. Those games are getting pretty rough towards the end.
Man, that final season engine though was pretty good. If they'd kicked that in sooner, not saying they definitely would have survived, but man, that was a big step up. The engine in that final game.
I still haven't played that last season. I need to get onto it.
So that was the season that was partly developed out of Telltale, wasn't it? Because that was Skybound took that. Was that done on a different engine for the last half of that, or was it completely new?
No, the whole thing was on their new Telltale engine.
Interesting.
So I don't know what they call it.
Because Skybound now own the Walking Dead rights for that sort of stuff, right? So even with Telltale coming back, Skybound would still do any more Walking Dead games.
Skybound still owns those rights, so Telltale can't even season 1, season 2. Can't republish.
Isn't Skybound basically that's the Walking Dead owner? Essentially, is Skybound. So he's always going to have those rights. Interestingly enough, the Walking Dead comic, the actual comic, has finished. I don't know if you knew that. So it wrapped up with relatively recently, a couple of months ago. Yeah. So no more.
The show just
no more.
can't die, but
and the show. I think there's another spin-off of that show coming out as well. So there was already The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead. And I think there's another one in the works. So that just keeps going on. I was going to say one more thing about the Telltale engine stuff. I watch on YouTube a series called Boundary Break, and it basically goes through into games and breaks out of the boundaries and moves the camera where you wouldn't normally be able to see it, and you can actually see how the games and the game worlds are sort of developed and built. And you did one recently on Telltale, and he actually had some interviews with some of the developers of Telltale going through their process and how they actually made, say, The Walking Dead Season 1 in particular. And it was just interesting them talking about the tech that they used, and essentially they said that same tech that they had, and this was like 10 years ago, which was very clunky at the time and they had a lot of difficulty working with, they basically didn't update that at all during the time, like to the later games, and that's partly another reason why their process was so costly, is because they just didn't upgrade internally or upgrade their processes to make things easier. So it was just interesting.
It shows, right?
Yeah.
That's Okay, yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. I mean, so this is essentially a completely unrelated company purchasing the Telltale name. The two guys who are overseeing it have a sort of tangential relation to games. Otterly has a background in mobile games. He was a CEO for a game dev who made a Duck Dynasty and Power Rangers mobile game. And Waddle did sales and marketing for the Havoc game engine. So that, kind of at least have an idea of the upper management of possibly a reasonably big company. Whether it turns out to be as brilliant as the new THQ Nordic is, or...
So what you're saying is that they're going to be ported to the Havoc engine and released on mobile. That's what I'm hearing.
That's...
Oh, man, that would be... You joke, but...
What? So, now, I can't think of any games off the top of my head that use Havoc, but I know I see it all the time. What uses Havoc?
These days?
Red Faction? Did they use...
Yeah,
That's the one I think of when I think of Havoc engine. So imagine how good those zombies body... Oh, well, not the zombies, because Walking Dead, but... Damn it!
I mean, there's quite a few of them.
Something
50-cent bulletproof.
The Assassin's Creed games run on Havoc for the physics engine.
The new Assassin's Creed games?
Oh, all of them do, actually.
Oh, all of them. Okay.
All the old ones. I don't know about the new ones.
Everything
Everything
up to Unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bodies fell pretty well there. So it's,
Ragdoll was alright, I guess.
Ragdoll, I mean, sometimes it was but
they're in Dead Space stuff. Yeah, they've done all Fear games, all kinds of stuff. I mean, to be fair,
Bioshock.
The Havoc engine is built up of a lot of different parts. So, I mean, the physics stuff... Was Havoc the one that... this is another tangent, but the old... Do you guys remember when the Star Wars Force Unleashed was coming out and they were showing off how amazing their physics were around using the Force on things and breaking things?
No.
So this is back when I used to write for a video game website. So they were showing off these sort of like physics rooms where you could pick up an astromech R2-D2 droid and just throw it through a plywood like plank or like what do you call it, sheet, and it would break in different ways depending on how it hit it. And this was like PlayStation 2, Xbox 360 days, and this was like the Havoc engine being like, oh my god, this is... this is the future of stuff, and now we're just kind of expecting it. It's like, oh, hey, I shot this thing and it broke correctly. Good, that's what should be happening.
Well, other well-known games on Havoc are like Bioshock. Some of the Call of Duty games, Condemned, Dark Souls.
Okay.
The original Dead Rising. There's quite a lot on there. Dragon Age.
Yeah, so apparently the Havoc engine controlled the movement of objects in the Force Unleashed. So there's that. The DMM engine regulated what objects are made from what substances, and the Euphoria engine decided how enemies react to their environment.
Yeah, I remember they made a huge big deal about it. Pretty good game too. Getting back on track, I'm wondering if this is going to be... is this going to be more of a bringing the studio back to life? Is it going to be a THQ Nordic where they just kind of want the name, but they're kind of going to do games or whatever? Or is this an Atari where a completely different company comes in, buys them up, and just does some weird stuff like a speaker hat or whatever the Atari ended up doing these days, or their Atari Classic, or just completely out of left field? I mean, there's so many ways it could go depending on... Yeah, because you're right, these people don't have direct ties into video games as such. They're video game developers in the same way that we're video game podcasters, right?
Yeah, but I guess they've
worked.
So
they're actually professional. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've worked.
Cool.
At least
100%.
They've worked in the industry, and I mean, anybody who works in the industry had to have started working in the industry from not working in the industry at some point in time. You don't get.
True. Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
I get the feeling it's not going to be just for branding exercise, because I don't really feel like buying like a beanie with Telltale Games written on it. I just don't see that happening. But, my feeling is it's just going to be the old IP, and they'll revisit that, and probably a lot of mobile stuff. I don't know what can really be resurrected from from what they've got out there. I mean, what games would you want to see from in the Telltale style now? It's kind of been so done to death, even though there's been like a break now just because the company hasn't existed. But what game would you actually want to come out as a Telltale game? Spider-Man?
Oh, these days, yeah. I mean, the Marvel properties would probably be the obvious ones, right?
The Guardians of the Galaxy
because they did Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was quite good.
Yeah, didn't really do all that well, but then again, none of them did.
Doctor Strange, I don't think you can go like a main, quote unquote, current mainstream Marvel hero like Iron Man. Now they're mainstream.
Do you know the one that was floating around was when Batman came out and you played as Bruce Wayne all the time? Everyone was like, well, they should obviously just make one about Archer. I would play the hell out of that game.
Once, and then get my 1000G and put it away.
Absolutely.
A Rick and Morty Telltale game could be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually that would do really well, yeah.
I think Rick and Morty is almost too open in the ability to do anything.
Yeah, that's just storycraft, though. I mean, if you say that, and they still craft episodes and have storylines on the episodes, they just kind of contain it within their expanded universe. So,
yeah, I mean, if you got writers over there to do the actual writing of the game, like the plot and how things sort of go, then and just leave the developers to do the making it look like a game bit. I can't think of any. No, because it was always, even if I want to, like, it was always background almost certainly for me. That's the thing, is I would always want to actually be doing something as well as the Telltale game.
Yeah, but is that more about the fact that you play the same game 4 times over because of all the different platforms and stacks, or is that? Because I found that it's like I played through it once and actually pay attention, and the second time through, like, to get the stack, it's just like, nah, it's just background now.
Yeah. My girlfriend's actually banned me from playing the new Walking Dead collection they're bringing out because she's so tired of seeing it. And she's not even the one playing it. It's me. I'm making all the same decisions, or letting it run and letting everyone die until I get to a QuickTime event.
Silent playthrough is best playthrough. It's a 1,000 game. It's a new 1,000 gamer score you could get. Like, come on.
Yeah. When we get to my games list, I found some far better ways to waste my time this week.
Yeah. So moving on from Telltale, because we should eventually. NBA 2K20 has had a trailer drop, heavily featuring loot boxes, loot crate openings, and a new mechanic related to them. I don't know exactly how it's related, but it is intrinsically tied to their version of Ultimate Team. I don't know. I think it's called My Team for the 2K games, but essentially it showed off a sort of a Wheel of Fortune wheel, a pachinko style machine, and a slot machine as a way to earn the boxes that contain your characters that you make up your team. I genuinely think there was about 10 seconds of basketball shown and like 50 seconds of monetization mechanics, assuming it was a minute long. It was a really interesting way to do it, I guess. Maybe it's get it all out there now.
For the first time, a video game actually has an accurate trailer to the in-game experience.
So, a question for you. Do you reckon they're just trolling?
That's kind of what I was thinking too. It's so on the nose. It's so like, we've just had this whole surprise mechanics thing. Video game loot boxes aren't gambling. We're like baseball cards or sticker packs where you don't know what you're going to get inside, but you always get something. And we're definitely not like slot machines or pachinko or any kind of gambling mechanics. Oh, except for this game where we put those in as literal gameplay mechanics. Like, if they're not trolling, it's the most tone-deaf, like, oh, man, it's unbelievable how blazing it is. It's ridiculous.
Certainly grabs the headlines anyway. So
you know who does loot boxes right? And I don't know if it's...
Nobody?
I was going to say, is this a trick question?
Coles do it. I have bought so many groceries to get... So, at the moment, Coles is a grocery store. When you buy, I think you spend over $30, you get a little bag that contains a mini item. So, it might be a mini loaf of bread, and you want to collect the whole set. So, there's like mini Gillette razor and a mini Latina Fresh beef ravioli. And it's dumb, completely dumb, but I need the set. So, I'm buying so many groceries. And just... way more than any man should ever consume, but I am,
Have you thought about looking on eBay and looking for people selling the rest of the collection? It's kind of... It's probably cheaper.
There is a rare gold shopping cart that will get you a $100 Coles gift card if you find it. I'm not too concerned about that one because there's only 100 of those. But like...
Hey guys, I just come across this great new website called colesgo.com. I've never heard of them before, but they asked me to sponsor one of these videos. Man, we should do a roulette wheel on this. This sounds really good. We should do some trading.
Coles Minis. I'm going to send it in the staff disc. The little shop. They're just adorable, and I really hope it shows a picture. It does. It has a picture of all of them. I'm just taking a picture. I think this is... No, this was the... this is this season. Because this is the second season they've run them. They had a first season, and it was really... Yeah, I know, that's the thing. But they're so good. It's brilliant. You have no idea.
The problem is I want to make fun of you, Chin, but we basically do the same thing but with video games, but we don't actually even get a little thing at the end of it.
You get a little Vegemite. There's... I mean, they've got the wrong flavour of shapes. They've got barbecue shapes, but...
Barbecue is the best flavour.
You know, pizza. You're a lunatic. Special burger sauce. Don't ask what's in it.
I guess I'm the only one who likes those Vegemite and cheese ones then.
I like real Vegemite and cheese. I don't think they got the flavour right in the... But they do have... it's like baked... It's almost like little baked baguettes that have a Vegemite flavour. I like them. What were we talking about again? 2K...
Collectibles.
Gambling.
Glad we got back to it. So, unsurprisingly... Peggy has rated this 3+, and I assume the ESRB did E for everyone, but I'm not... I mean, maybe T for teen, but I doubt it. I can take a quick look. That's not at all words, Chin. What did you type into True Achievements? What? Okay. Anyway, it's... Like, I was trying to type 2K20, but I wrote, like, 2NB... I think 2BNK... 2A. I'm like, what? I mixed up.
The True Achievement search algorithm can figure that one out. Come on.
Yeah. It's in P. No, because it hasn't come out yet, so I can't tell. Anyway, Peggy, they've undersold the rating a bit. They have stated this is. I mean, it doesn't meet their requirements to be tagged as gambling, but it's uncomfortably close, is what they've said.
So, and just the interesting thing was they're saying, so the reason it's not gambling is because you do put real money in, but you don't get anything out?
That was one of the defenses the ESA, the Electronic Software Association, had used when they were interviewed about it. Peggy has sort of defended it by saying they don't encourage or teach the use of games of chance that are played or carried out as traditional means of gambling. So they don't teach you to gamble. You just do it. Learn by doing.
Right, okay, yeah, because no one's ever... Yeah, okay, you know what? I'm not even going
to... And also
that's probably fair, because, I mean, if I play a basketball game, I'm not really going to be playing a basketball game to play and learn how to play basketball. It's the same kind of principle, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because no, yeah, exactly. No one's ever learned basketball by playing basketball, and no one's ever gambled on basketball either. In fact, there is no gambling scene around any sports at all.
No, of course not.
No.
They're not at all related. In fact, there couldn't be two more diametrically opposed things.
No. They're definitely not sponsored by gambling sites at all either. Like, there are zero sponsorships in any sports event to do with gambling or gambling sites.
Oh, well, in that case, I completely understand why they've rated it as it is. It makes perfect sense now.
Although I'm kind of wondering, how in Australia, I know that's just being serious for a moment. In Australia, that's definitely an issue that we have a lot of like sports bet and all sort of stuff plastered all over our sports. Except I know America is a bit stricter about that sort of thing, and I'm not sure what their rules are around gambling on sport. And I've got a feeling it's actually not legal in many states, at least. So that may not be as ubiquitous a statement, particularly for an American audience.
Yeah, fair point.
That's true.
I only brought that up because I know my football team, my English Premier League football team, I believe still has a sponsorship with a gambling site. Off the top of my head, They do.
That's the UK. So
moved on. So yeah, UK definitely has. But yeah, we're quite strict here. I mean, it's weird. We have those sponsorships in the game, and it is kind of frowned upon, but it still happens. But then we will penalise the players really hard if they gamble on those sports. So
which is, I think that's a fairly universal thing.
Which is good. I think we should.
Yeah, because you get into things like match fixing and all that kind of.
It's weird to have the sponsorship as well as coming down so hard on them for sort of doing what the sponsor is encouraging, if you know what I mean. Like it seems kind of oxymoronic.
Well, I don't think so. I think if you've got an actual, if you play a part of a game, as in you are playing in a game, and you've put money onto the game, it's actually in your best interest to bet against yourself and then play badly. You know, whereas if you are not involved in the game, you're not a direct part of the game, you're free to gamble on it as much as you want, and that's the distinction. So it's really just about making sure that the games are fair, and that they aren't influenced by outside factors such as gambling or drug cheats or things like that. That's the intent behind those kind of rules. So I mean personally, I still think it's a bad look to have sponsors like this, especially when it then comes up in advertising during the games. Oh yeah, it's very frustrating. They've been criticised quite a lot about it because it's exposing children to a lot of gambling and making it normalising it essentially for kids who are coming up in the sport and going, oh yeah, well I'll place a bet on blah 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 to win, and that's just a normal thing, which it shouldn't be. But yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah, and then you looking at how they're doing with video games, is that while this technically isn't gambling, as they've said, or they don't think it's gambling, it definitely it looks like gambling and it sounds like gambling. And I suspect it probably smells like gambling as well. So if they're getting out on technicality, they're getting really, really close to the line there.
Yeah, it does.
I'd be interested to see how this. I imagine I would not be surprised in 6 months if I see this being pointed to at a congressional hearing, being like, "Hey, you know this thing that you said you definitely weren't doing? What do you call this?"
Yeah. So the ESRB has two sort of gambling classifications: real gambling and simulated gambling. So real gambling is obviously the player can gamble, including betting or wagering real cash or currency, and simulated is the player can gamble without wagering or betting real cash or currency. This hasn't even been given the simulated gambling moniker, tag, descriptor, whatever. The game only has mild language as one of its content descriptors because one of the songs has the word hell and damn in it. Or some of the songs have that.
So the way the ESA said they were doing it was that, or ESRB, was that it's gambling if you put real money in and you get real money out. And it's simulated gambling if you put fake money in and you get fake money out. But because you put real money in and essentially get fake money out, it skirts between those two and they don't technically have to classify it as either one of them.
Yeah. It is.
Well, that's the thing. Is it done like a loot box where you reach a threshold, you get a loot box, and that's just given to you? And the way that they then expose you opening that loot box and getting the random whatever it is that they do it through essentially a simulated poker machine. Is it really that different from just a regular loot box in that sense? If you're not actually, building up an internal currency in the game and then spending some of that currency to pull a lever on a virtual machine. versus using a spinning wheel to represent you opening a loot box versus just opening
You're
a
right.
loot box.
Mechanically, it is basically the same as just opening a box and having some cards come out, and it's random number generators all the way down, right? But I think it's the. I mean, I think part of the argument against the having this stuff in video games taking the sort of protect the children angle, which I don't always agree with, but that's what they've decided to go with, is that opening up a magical box that gives you something is very different from a actual slot machine that is a real thing in real life that represents gambling and or a chance wheel or anything like that. It's a little bit different.
What, you don't go to the local pub and just buy loot boxes?
Exactly right. That's No, unfortunately, my local pub was out of the loot box machines, but I did waste $5 on the pokies. So
I guess the other side of that is you've got things like Kinder Surprises or those the machines that you go into. I don't know what they're called, but you put your 20 cents in, you turn it, and you get a toy in an egg.
Gotcha machines.
Similar kind of thing there. But again, it's normalizing gambling and targeting it at a young audience, and that's, I guess, where this is morally questionable. Whether or not it skirts the rules, that's one thing, but there is definitely a morally questionable angle to the way that they're selling this. And I'm certainly not comfortable with it, and I don't even play the games. But, yeah.
Yeah. So I just had a look at the trailer again, just to sort of refamiliarize myself. Essentially, there's two currencies. There's a free currency that you get just by playing the game, and the premium currency that you get by spending money. The free currency is used, from what I can see, the free currency is used in those three machines to potentially win more free currency or a prize in the league level you're at, or
okay.
So you put in 50 of this.
How is that not simulated gambling by their definition? So players can gamble without betting or wagering real cash or currency. They are absolutely then spending some form of internal currency on something to win potentially more of that currency or something else. How is that not simulated gambling by their rules? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's beyond me. Because, it hasn't actually shown how you you putting the money in, quote unquote, and your currency going down, but it's sort of got all the indicators. Matching 2 of anything gets you 50 coins, so presumably it's 100 coins to put into the slot machine, so you get some of it back if you match 2. Matching 3 gives you 500, matching 3 of a different one gives you 1,000, and you can also earn players or the premium currency. So yeah, it's kind of, it's very much, again, doesn't encourage kids to gamble, I guess, but certainly exposes them at a much earlier age than...
You're exposing gambling elements to kids.
Yeah.
That's enough, I think, to encourage kids to gamble, particularly when you put it into something that's a game format and make them enjoy it and get the buzz out of unlocking that new thing. That is the gambling problem. That's what is gambling. So yeah,
and it certainly has all those triggers and the flashing lights and the sounds that the casinos run in their
the endorphin rush, the achievement unlock, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, if this was, again, we spoke about it earlier. If this was violence or anything of a sexual nature, to be damn sure that ESRB is noting that and slapping on an M15 plus or whatever. You have to be over 17 to get this game kind of deal. But this other very adult thing that you have to be an adult to partake in real life is okay to expose people to almost certainly at an earlier age than they are ready to handle. It's frustrating. Certainly because it's, we like games, and this is just a terrible light that they're being shown in. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not a great precedent, but I mean, loot boxes were already a pretty bad precedent anyway. I'm not so sure this is necessarily that much worse than what loot boxes are. It's more blatant, and that's the
exactly
problem.
It's so much more obvious. I'm kind of interested to see, because it does come out later this week, how quickly a parent walks in on their child playing the slot machine or whatever, and how quickly the news stories break on, the quote-unquote more legitimate news outlets make stories about this.
Yeah, I guess
we'll see.
Depends
Unfortunately,
how many controversial statements Trump has made in the last 20 minutes on. It's just way too many distracting other things going on, particularly in America, to worry too much about this kind of thing.
As always, video games have to take a backseat to all the horrors of real day life.
Yeah. So I think it'll be probably just a footnote, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah, that's that's the world we live in, and hopefully things take a turn. It's like the ESRB essentially allowing of their parents to say to do this and say no, it's okay.
I wonder how it'll go over in, is it Belgium that completely outlawed loot boxes?
Yeah, Belgium, Netherlands as well. I know Australia has questioned it and says it needs to look into it more to have a hard stance on it, but certainly that the identifiers and the triggers are there. But yeah. It will be interesting to see how they implement it in Belgium. Moving on to, I guess it's more positive news, but Google have announced their new first-party game studio for Google Stadia, led by Jade Raymond. It's called Stadia Games and Entertainment. That's a creative name. It's no worse than the initiative, though, really.
I reckon the initiative is a bit better than that.
There have certainly been worse studio names.
Yeah. So they're having their own in-house studio to make original games for their streaming platform.
Do you reckon they'll release
Stadia
on
releases... No, definitely not. Stadia releases in November? Or October?
End of this year, so November, I think, but only in limited territories.
Yeah. So, look, they're at least making the right moves. They're doing the same things the big companies are doing. Microsoft buying up and making its own first-party studios. PlayStation recently with the acquisition of Insomniac. They're making the right moves.
Jade Raymond, is that a name I should know?
Jade Raymond was a former Ubisoft and Electronic Arts executive.
Okay.
Worked on the first Assassin's Creed. What else?
Yep.
Come on, Wikipedia. Career games. Sims Online, Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Watch Dogs, and The Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. Which is... I don't know.
Decent pedigree, actually. Yeah, I think I've...
Yeah, there's actually quite a few good games in there. I mean, and she's sort of disappeared from the public eye quite a bit after as the original Assassin's Creed. If I take you back to the halcyon days of 2007, when you had a female as the sort of face of a studio for a game as big as Assassin's Creed was.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I mean, it was quite the thing. It seems ridiculous now that we're like, oh yeah, absolutely, it's a huge weird thing that happened, but yeah, it was a big deal back in the day. And to be fair, Assassin's Creed was one of the most ridiculously overhyped games I've ever played in my entire life. But it was, to be fair, the game's only got better. So we'll be interested. So she'll be working with, because Phil Harrison is their person he's running the Stadia, sort of hardware side of things, right? And so he used to be, he's been with all kinds of people. He was with PlayStation for a bit. He was with Atari. So, the Stadia, the guys at Google are putting their best foot forward when it comes to acquiring talent for this kind of stuff. Whether it actually comes to anything and actually releases in any sort of usable state, I'll be very interested to see. But it's going to make or break on the exclusives, right? And this looks like it's their first attempt at that.
Will it really
Yeah.
break on the exclusives though? Because I think part of the selling point of Stadia as well is that, okay, I don't have a $4,000 PC to run the latest games, but I can potentially stream them at the quality of a $4,000 PC without having to spend that much and just spend a $15 monthly fee. There's an argument for that, and it may end up just being a replacement for PC games, especially, and possibly some console. So I'm not sure that completely exclusive stuff is necessarily going to make or break the service, but it certainly will help.
$15 a month and the price of the game. Because they still
That was going to be my point. Is that exactly? Yeah, is that the HD streaming is you still have to buy all the games. They were talking about doing a streaming option, but currently it's all just buy in their store.
There's a free one that is lower. I think you don't get up to 4K. You only get 1080p or 720, and it's free. You still have to purchase your games. I think they may do like a games with gold type deal where if you're on the pro service, you get a free game a month or something. But that might have just been hearsay. But yeah, it's that price, and they're really pushing that controller hard as well to cut down on the. They say cut down on the latency as well. I think that latency is going to be the kicker, getting that as close to what people are used to. I know there's sort of mixed messaging about that, like people who've played it on the simulated latency, where it was simulated under conditions that were not ideal. People saying they were dying on the first level of Doom because they'd be overshooting, so they'd be, okay, this guy is slightly to my right, I've gone too far now, and I've missed too far this shot.
The usual problems of dealing with lag.
But that was a simulated latency, so what they were expecting people to have, sort of at the base level. It'll be when it's up and running. That'll be when the real tests come out, and we can actually see how well it goes.
The thing is, if latency is consistent,
not over here.
If latency is consistent, then you can learn to work around it. If it's inconsistent, that will be where it becomes a problem. And of course, it's not going to be a problem for playing the re-release of all the Telltale games, for example. Latency is not going to be too big a deal,
because those will already stutter all over the place, and you'll never even notice that there was lag in the first place.
Some of these games
fail the button prompts for the first time, and you get it the second time. It's fine.
Some of the games they've got here are interesting. Just Dance 2020.
Just
the app's on your phone. Okay. I get that, but that feels like I don't know. That feels like a game where that latency would be. Unless you offset it on the.
Yeah, as far as I know, Just Dance is actually fairly forgiving.
I was going to say it has quite a
Dance Central.
Range
Dance Central, no. Just Dance, I think, is relatively forgiving in that sense.
I mean, it was on. They released it on the Wii this year again. So
Thumper, which we've spoken about in the past, fairly precise rhythm game. Trials Rising.
Yeah, they're obviously picking things that to sort of put the best foot forward and show what it can actually do, right?
Yep. Football Manager 2020.
Latency's going to kill that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NBA 2K20. Should we just talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, how much latency do you need for loot boxes?
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything.
I accidentally
Mortal
pulled the
Kombat
lever
11.
5 times instead of once.
So these are going to be the kicking ones. Mortal Kombat 11, fighting game. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, not good fighting game. Samurai Showdown, that new one, fighting game. Nothing else on the. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. That's fighting game.
Yeah, fighting game versus computer opponents. I don't think it'll matter too much. If you're getting into player versus player, it's going to kill it.
Yep, and that. I mean, if it can somehow match you up with people who are at a similar latency, even then it's still not going to be good. But that's if you get matched up with someone who's at 20 milliseconds and you're at 160, like that's.
I'm having flashbacks to my old original 360 experiences.
Yeah. Still, We still don't know how it's going to go, though, so this is all speculation, but it's... Look, fingers crossed it goes well, because if it goes well, then it's likely that xCloud will be at least as good, you would hope, in terms of latency and streaming, at least.
Yeah, I did read an article where I think Microsoft did say that they don't think that cloud gaming is going to be quite there yet, at least not for the next generation. So we're going to have the next generation of hardware, so consoles and so forth, and then maybe the generation after that might be the streaming generation, but it's not quite there yet. So Google Stadia, I guess, is going out on a bit of a limb and being first to market. Whether or not that it pans out for them or not is another question. And I guess they're not quite first to market because PlayStation have been doing it sort of for a while.
But not in a very good way.
Yeah. So I guess...
that was an interesting thing. I brought that up around E3. I think Phil Spencer was talking about that exact thing, about how he reckons that the streaming will be a nice optional extra and a bit of a bonus for Xbox, but it's definitely not going to replace the sort of, 8K, 4K, 60 FPS, 120 FPS stuff that they want to do with the Scarlett. They're saying, that it's good to have outside of the house if you want to be, streaming stuff, but it's not going to replace your, big powerful box that you buy for your house. It's just extra options available. Whereas, you're exactly, Stadia is going out on a limb saying, no, streaming, we can do all that. Don't worry about that on-live thing that was a few years ago that didn't work out. We've massively improved it since then.
Yeah. We don't speak about on-live. If we say it 3 times, it might come back.
on-live.
The mirror, right? Okay. We'll move on from that to our G-Task roundup for Period 9. We'll start off with the bonus for Period 10, which is Seeing Threes. This is a team side bonus, so this is specifically for the team side. It'll be interesting because now that we've reached week 10 and we've got our nice little community challenge badge, I don't know that I'll be getting many more of these bonus PMs. I'll have to get Warren to actually tell me what the bonus is, because I won't get the PMs anymore because I'll just drop out, eliminate myself.
Oh, come on, Chin, you're going to win this competition.
Oh, yeah, I'm so preloaded. I have all the Radalikas preloaded. That's a whole, 30 points for me right there.
Oh, boy.
But the Seeing Threes bonus is to end the scoring period having unlocked an achievement with either the word 3, so THREE, or the number 3 in the achievement title. So, not in the name of the game, not in the description of the achievement, in the achievement title. So, for example, the remastered version of Assassin's Creed 3, most of the achievements have AC3 in the title, because it's assigning it to that game, because it also has the Liberation bundled into it. Those achievements are valid. They have the 3 in the title. Something like an achievement in the game 3's, not valid. Not in the achievement title, it's in the name of the game.
I mean, probably not a bad one for G-Task anyway, though.
Yeah, good for non-bonus related things, but for this bonus, bad. All 3 of the team members must achieve this, so can't be one person getting 3 different achievements. They do not need to be the same achievement across all 3 people, but each teammate needs to get at least 1. For Period 9, though, the solo side, the cutoff dropped a little bit to 7. I think it dropped to 706, which was a surprise, considering this was the the ultimate week for most people. We did have a solo low with the who was Buck Marley 155, who was at 731, a mere 25 above the cutoff. Our highest flyer was Angel SK in 20th spot with 5,116 true achievement difference, which she really wanted that red badge.
Oh, yeah, she was. I saw she was playing Thief of Thieves, which has that beautiful 3.5 ratio.
Yep. Yeah, I got. I used my 2,000 in bonuses and then sort of just cruised through the rest of the week. It was great. First minute, used them all. We did have someone get knocked out in the solo side. We had Homer and our very own Neomaster 47.
Planting you. Oh, boy.
Neomaster 47, who was a mere 2 spots below cutoff. has no relation to the Neomaster on the show aside from the name. It's very unfortunate that we lost him right at the end.
Just couldn't make the cut.
No. As for the team side, the cutoff rose to 2,559. Our lowest team was Team L15RH, which was Marky Bihoy 89, L15RH, and Dan Brazendale. Marky, I think you need to get them listening to the show, so they can just force it on them. Because I know you listen, because you're the listener that we're following. Just force the show down their throats until they like it. That's the best way to enjoy the show. Force-fed. They had 2,845 True Achievement difference, which was 286 above cutoff. Our high flyers were the Von Coin Bandits, which is Tropan, new listener Hawkeye Barry 20, and I Need Togepi, who are in 27th spot with 7,717. Yep, that definitely said that number right. There's a lot of sevens there. True achievement difference, 7,717. It was 60 off. Come on. Disappointing.
Yep, close enough.
We did have a team get knocked out. A team that contains Whispering Clown. Team Dark Paul 64. It was a random team, so I'm sure he's not too disappointed to have that drop out. But yeah, that's GTASK for this week. We'll see how long our list of knockouts is at the end of this week, for period 10. I probably won't go out just by virtue of moving on to roguelites, which tend to have a slightly higher ratio than I'm used to playing, but we'll see. Moving on, we have our review. We have Prue and Mighty Mango, who reviewed Achtung! Cthulhu Tactics. So take it away, Prue.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's review. I am Prue, and joining me as always is Mr. Mighty Mango. How are you, sir?
I'm doing alright. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's the end of the summer, man.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't that crazy?
It totally is. Yeah, it is. I'm heading to your girlfriend's college town tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yep, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay, interesting. What are you doing? What are you doing in the middle of the country?
I'm racing.
Okay. That's fair.
Yep.
That's fair. Enjoy it, because there's not a lot in Nebraska to enjoy.
No, there's not. So let's get into what we actually really like to enjoy. Gaming.
Yeah, so what did we play this week?
We played an old one. We have been playing a lot of new games. This is an older one. This is Achtung! Cthulhu Tactics. Yeah, see, I knew I was going to say it wrong.
No.
Cthulhu Tactics.
It's actually Achtung! Because it's like there's an exclamation mark after the Achtung.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't. Achtung! And then English words behind it.
Yeah.
So, it was published by Ripstone and developed by Aruk Digital. It was released November 23rd, 2018 for the low price of $24.95. Or $24.99, sorry. And it is a turn-based strategy game.
Yes. So how familiar are you with turn-based strategy games?
My history on turn-based goes back to Final Fantasy Tactics, which was a fantastic game, and the original Valiant Hearts, which was on PlayStation as well, which was an M-rated title back then because it had blood, or digital blood.
Okay. I think my origins go back to Advance Wars, and I also played more recently XCOM. Which this game, have you played XCOM at all?
I played XCOM, and I guess I couldn't get into XCOM.
Yeah,
I just wasn't me.
This game plays remarkably like XCOM. This feels almost like an XCOM knockoff, I guess I would say. Where we already mentioned it's turn-based strategy, so it's obviously you going and setting all your pieces on the playing field, and you do your attacks, and maybe you'll hit, maybe you'll miss. And then the enemy gets to attack you. It's turn-based. It's strategy. It's if you've ever played any of those types of games that we've mentioned, it feels like it's not really a stretch to say it plays similarly to all those games. It's not like this game is super innovative. It's very much in the mold of those games, I'd say.
That would make sense then. I played a little bit of them, but they just didn't catch me. Kind of like Achtung! Did not catch me. It seemed a little bland.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay. So the game is set in World War II, and you're fighting Nazis, which is the easiest bad guys to fight against. But these,
because everybody hates Nazis.
Right. But these are the type of Nazis like in Indiana Jones or Captain America or plenty of other pop culture where they're obsessed with the occult. So they're trying to, dredge up things from the depth, and of course there's Nazi crossover with Lovecraft, so you get Cthulhu. Basically, you're just fighting supernatural Nazis, and you're just this squad of 4 people, and you do these turn-based strategy battles against Nazis. I think I got that right.
You got that right. That's what I experienced.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty good for that.
Yeah, I think if you like the turn-based strategy, or that era of history or pseudo-history, you probably would like it. Like I said, I played more the fantasy kind of tactical games. And I realize I'm not very good at these games. What about you?
No, I am terrible at these games. I discovered this when I played XCOM, where I would get frustrated. I was playing on easy, and I would still lose. And it's definitely it feels like a niche market sort of thing where people who are into those strategy games are really into those strategy games. But I get more frustrated than anything when I'm like, okay, I'm in front of this guy with a shotgun. Why did I miss? Like I'm 2 squares away from this guy with the shotgun. I should not be missing. That's the whole point.
At his back, so he's facing the other direction, and I still miss.
So that's I think that's part and parcel for the genre, but it's presented well. I think I don't think it's a bad game by any means. Like
no.
The only thing a big complaint I had was in the tutorial, too much is thrown at you too quickly.
Yeah, it got really wordy and really confusing as to what I was supposed to do next, and I couldn't keep track of everything I had to remember.
Yeah.
There was a lot to remember.
Because you have individual party members who can grow levels. You have all these different tactics and all these different. They have these different systems like action points and momentum, I think it's called, as well as some other energy levels.
Yeah, and stress.
That's
like
what it was.
The stress
Yep,
thing.
yep. And it's all like in the tutorial. It's not like in most tutorials. It's like here's one concept, go and explore that concept, and then we'll introduce something else. It's more like, well, there's this system, this system, this system, this system, and here now go do your battle. And it's like, whoa,
yeah, and then you get your stress level gets escalated. And you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember what that means.
Yeah. So it's a little too. I think it's a little too dense up front, but I think fans of the genre will be comfortable with it. But anybody else it might be a little intimidating for them.
Yes, yeah, I would agree. Now that being said, would you consider this an achievement hunters game?
No.
And why is
that?
that?
For a couple of reasons. There is a unobtainable, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's one of those games that suffers from the get all the achievements, get this achievement.
Which nobody has that achievement.
Correct.
So, thanks. So I got the sense that it's not a terribly long game. I didn't get super far into it, but I'd say, I don't know, maybe like a 12-hour game?
Yeah, probably about 12 hours. There's only 202 people that have played it, which maybe more people would play it if it was completable. I think in our community at least, if a game is deemed as you can't finish it, not a lot of people seem to touch it anymore.
Yeah. So I think it would be doable. It wouldn't even be that terrible if there was not an unobtainable, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, because most of them are like for achievement wise, a lot of them seem very doable, nothing real difficult.
Right. Yeah, except it just seems to be that the one that you can't get is the one unobtainable is the one that just doesn't work. It seems like.
Yeah.
Other than that, this list is actually pretty decent. There's 30 achievements, and it's 3,500 TA right now, obviously excluding the unobtainable. Man, I think if they fix it, I can imagine that coming down quite a bit.
Well, there's one that only one person has gotten, so that puts me in question as to how obtainable it really is, which is kill a Shogarth section entirely surrounded by other Shogoth sections. So I'm guessing that's a late game achievement.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. For my 4 hours into the game, I don't know what that is, but Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I actually think this is actually probably a pretty decent game for people who are really big strategy fans.
You have to like the strategy, the turn-based strategy,
Yeah.
because I thought I was okay with it, but I'm not.
The presentation is okay. It's decent. The graphics aren't anything to be blown away by, but it's good for what you're doing. You're fighting Nazis and monsters, and it has that same vibe that XCOM has. I don't know. I just it didn't blow me away. It just felt like I think you mentioned kind of generic or kind of middle of the road.
Yeah, just kind of
Yeah.
Didn't do anything special. Didn't do anything bad. Didn't do anything special either.
Yeah, just doesn't set itself apart from any of the other turn-based strategy games. So, it's $25.
So for that price, you might as well just play XCOM.
Yeah, I would definitely say play XCOM. I got equally as frustrated as XCOM, but I had a lot more fun with XCOM.
Yeah. A little more polish.
A lot more polish. But hey, if it's a steep discount, they fix the unobtainable, and you're really into the genre, I'd say give it a shot. If it was $15, $10, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. And that was Achtung! Cthulhu Tactics. Back to you guys.
All right. Well, probably won't look into it if it's kind of like XCOM. That was never really my style of games. Unfortunately, I did die of XCOM, so I've got that on there. But probably
You'll be
not,
both, buddy.
not for me.
Some good ratio in there for GTA SC, though, surely.
Yeah, but then I'd have to play it. That's the thing.
You might have to finish it, Kirby. Can
Yeah,
you
I know.
imagine that?
I have to finish it because I put up my tag, and everything I put on my tag, I'm gonna finish. So, because I'm a completionist. It's what I do.
That's
Yeah.
That's first thing I look at when I see your tag. I'm like, yep, that's a completionist, 100%.
Speaking of my completionist nature, I played a fair few little titles this week thanks to the random to-do list, and then with the new list coming out a couple of days ago, I tried really hard to just get roguelite titles, but obviously the ratios are probably a little too high, so I had to chuck some easy stuff in there just to make up for it. But I played a lot of FIA European Truck Racing Championship. So
Nice.
my achievement was to get 4,000 reputation in the World Series side of it, because there's the Euro Truck Series and there's the World Series, which is everyone else, and not just America this time. It's actually everywhere else: Australia and Japan and Argentina, I think, and Canada. So it's not like the World Series in baseball, where it's actually just the American League and the National League, which is also American. But so initially you start off and you're just signed for the weekend for the race. So you do 4 races in a race weekend on the same track. You get points, obviously, for coming first and whatever else. So initially, because you're kind of an unknown player, you just get a team signed for that weekend, and you get maybe 50 at the end, when you're with sort of the best team for the week on just the weekend, you'll get 50 reputation points per race. So you get 200 for the weekend. My achievement needed 4,000. So if I theoretically did every race, which it's about 6 minutes a race because trucks are slow, so about half an hour for a weekend, I'd have to do 4 seasons at that. Didn't want to do that. So sort of could see that the full season teams were sort of around the 1,200 reputation mark to be able to join them. So just made sure I got to that point and then joined a team. And so the first time I went through it, I don't particularly enjoy the races early on. So the first and the second track in this World Series of 6 tracks are my least favorite. Really don't like them. I don't like the cornering and how you do it. And so the team goal was to be, I think, better than 6th by the end of the season. So I said, look, I'll do 1 race in each, and then I'll just quit the others. I won't be 6th initially, but whatever, I'll make it up by the end. So I got to the end of my second race weekend, ready to actually win everything because I'd upgraded my truck, so it was actually much better than everyone else's. And the team kicked me out. They cancelled the contract, said, "You've done really poorly, leave." And I went, oh, okay. All right, I'll do some more free races, because the reputation reward I would have got was, I think 2,500. So would have got me just under 4,000. So I was, okay, I'll make sure I have enough with this free team so that when I finish a season with them, I'll get my 4,000, I'll be done. So I did it, got the new team, ready to go. Sort of, I knew there was an achievement also for making money in the game, but coming first, for whatever reason, the money you made for coming first didn't count. So I was like, okay, I'll just try and get second and stuff. So I got like a second and a third and a sixth. And I'm like, okay, I still did really well. I was still coming like fourth on the board. And they kicked me out again. And I was like, what? I was really confused because I'd actually done well. I didn't like deliberately tank. So I went, okay, that's dumb. I'm just gonna, I guess, have to come first all the time. So I quickly started the race, quit out with all the free teams, got back, won every race, just destroyed the competition, and got the achievement. But it baffled me because the time I actually did well, I got kicked out anyway. It's almost like they remembered me. I enjoy the game. The weird thing is, in the rules, so there's rules, you can't collide with another truck. One of the rules is that there's a speed limit of 160 kilometers an hour. So you can't go faster than that. Unless you're an AI-controlled truck. Because,
oh, of course.
I'm on the straights,
rubber banding,
going 160, getting overtaken by the AI, who, I mean, I'm
sure
not a maths
drafting?
guy.
And you get a little bit of a speed boost from drafting, so it's, yeah.
They must have their Top Gear editors looking at their speedos.
They were 10 seconds behind me, and then at the end of the straight, they're 2 seconds behind me. That's a big draft in a truck.
Fair.
And I go, I'm pretty good at maths. I feel like if I'm going 160 and they're gaining on me from really far, they're probably going faster than 160. They're just not getting, and you can't go over 160. Like, the truck will not go faster. You don't have to sort of control, so you're not breaking the rules. It just won't go. So that was kind of frustrating.
Or maybe gravity's affecting you more than them, and so they have like a time dilation difference thing going on there. So they're actually still doing 160, but they're moving through time faster than you are.
Yeah. It's baffling, but it's still a good game. I need to do all of the Euro championship side, and then that'll be achievements done. After that, I had the worst Saturday of my life, because I listened to more High School Musical songs than any man should. And the achievement I got.
Did you get that off me? Was it
no, I got this of my own free will. So the achievement I got was
to even better.
Get an A rating on all of the High School Musical 3 songs. And that requires you to play it on the junior difficulty to unlock, so basically medium to unlock hard, and then play them on hard. And so,
is that still a game? But it's a microphone game, and is it, or is it something else?
No, this is like a DDR. So
right.
You hit
either
the face buttons or the D-pad.
There was one of them, I think, was one of them that was essentially a microphone game, and you could get through every song just by rubbing it against your leg. And I think I just just for static noise. And on the hardest level, you're just like making noise. And I think I just played that with the sound off most of the time, and just
I'm weird. Most of the time, I will play games with no sound. For rhythm games, for whatever reason, I have to have sound. I can't do a rhythm. Like, my brain can't do the timing without the sound, even though it's just like. It's just timing and rhythm.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, most musicians aren't deaf.
Yeah.
Beethoven was the exception.
I struggled to play any kind of rhythm game without actual sound, so I was forced to listen to these songs. And, I mean, I think most of the singers were or most of the songs were taken from the movie, and it was actually how it was done. Every time Zac Efron's singing character thing was in a song, I swear that was not his voice. I like it just, and I went back and listened to the songs on YouTube. I'm like, I don't think that's the same, but I can't remember anymore. Like I feel like it's not the same person, but it could be, and I can't tell.
It could be a mix thing as well. I know in Rock Band in particular, they actually had specialized mixes of the original tracks that they remixed for the game, just to highlight the songs in different ways, just to suit the instruments. So it could be a mix thing, but again, it could also just be a licensing thing. They couldn't get the original licensed song, and so they did a cover.
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious now that all of Chin's YouTube recommendations are just going to be High School Musical.
I think it's hilarious that he actually went and looked at it on YouTube in the first place, just to go, is this the real song? It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right from the 13 times I've watched the movie. It just doesn't sound right.
It's in my top picks from YouTube movies is High School Musical now. I can get it for a mere $3.99. That and Princess Bride for $4.99. Maybe I'll get that one instead.
Princess Bride's good.
Yeah, but High School Musical is longer, so better value for money.
Ooh.
Is it worth the scarring on your soul, though?
I think I have it on DVD anyway.
I mean, to be fair, Princess Bride's a brand new
the Blu-ray
experience.
special
You already
edition.
know all the words to all the songs to High School Musical.
That's right.
Yeah.
You've already got the Blu-ray special edition. Do you really need,
the YouTube version? Yeah, I know. But no, it was a hell of a Saturday. It was, and my girlfriend was in the room watching and looked at the screen and was like, "What are those things on the screen? That doesn't look. Why does Vanessa Hudgens look like a 50-year-old transvestite?" I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's what she looks like. That's her face. That's her, all the scarring and stuff. That's her. That's is graphically awful. Now that the new random to-do lists are out, it's mostly roguelite, so I dived into Risk of Rain. I didn't do much in that, so I won't talk about it, except that I really like it. Played on PC a bunch. Glad it's on Xbox. Jumped into and have done most of Devious Dungeon 2. I just have 3 more bosses to go. It's Devious Dungeon 1, except longer, really. There's very little different.
even Deviouser.
Yeah, Devious. You get a choice of 3 characters.
This time
it's Deviouser. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly the same. There's a lot of the same enemies. There's a lot of, The bosses are slightly harder, but you can just keep restarting them, so it's not that big a deal. You do have ranged weapons, so instead of stabbing in front of you, it moves like slightly further. It doesn't have an unlimited range, but look, it's fine. There's nothing egregiously wrong with it. It's a reasonably quick game. I'll probably finish it at about the 6-hour mark, which is fine for a roguelite. Yeah, and cheap too. I think. Well, it's roguelite, so it's got that roguelite price bump because of all the replayability. So I think it's like $10, maybe $12 instead of the usual $5 or whatever from Ratalaika. But also roguelite, I played Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove. My achievement was to get killed by a girl with a teddy. So I just did a fixed world. I think I started finding them at like the 18th or 19th level out of 25. Got killed. I don't think I died before that. I wasn't planning on using presents because I was going to try and get the achievement to complete the game without using presents until one of the Earthlings attacked me and it forced me to use a present because I'm not 100% familiar with the game. So I was like, okay, I guess this is happening. So then it was just all hell broke loose, and got a couple of achievements for getting unlucky and stuff like that. But finished the fixed game on normal difficulty, so I need to do a randomized game and then a couple other miscellaneous things. It's a weird title in that you kind of need to know the entire list to have an effective, like to effectively work through it, because it's a roguelite and there's sort of random things happen. There was another achievement I could have earned if I had known about it, and it was to basically use a present that will kill you. It just kills you, to use it twice in one game. And I had a second one, but I knew it killed me, so I didn't use it.
That's probably why they have the achievement.
Yeah, had I known about the achievement, probably would have done it, because I had enough lives that it wouldn't have mattered. But you can't really set out and go, okay, I'm going to get this achievement and only this, because as you go through, you might get into a situation where you can actually get this other achievement that wasn't the one you were going for, but the things have fallen into place where you could get that. And if you don't know about it, it's kind of, you're not going to be as efficient. So I think I need to print off the achievements I have left that are related to the randomness and sort of, so I know what I'm looking out for while I go through. But no, I'm still sort of unsure about the game. I don't really like it because it's an older game come forward, and there's no natural attacking method. There's no attack button. It's all related to the presents you open. I'm not really fond of it, but I think the nostalgia factor is probably the most important thing when you're playing it. I think if you, having never played it before and this being my first experience, I can see where things have been influenced by it and have made it better. So then going back to it, and it's essentially the same game, but prettier and made for a mod, like to look modern, but it still plays old, and the appeal isn't as strong for me as I know Prue, who played it to death on whatever it came out on and loves it. He gets a lot more out of it than I do. But I ended up on 3,239 Gamerscore. I feel like that number's going to drop off quite swiftly while I focus on roguelites for the next couple months. So maybe I'll need to just do a couple of my quick pointer games, spend 5 hours on a weekend and knock out 2 or 3, and then the rest of my week is spent doing roguelites. Something I enjoy, But yeah, 3,239 for the week, so pretty good. Matt, what have you been... Wow, lots. What have you been doing, Matt?
Yeah, so I had a clean-up weekend. So I realised we're getting towards the end of the month, and I wasn't at the top of the leaderboard for all my friends, so I figured, well, we better change that. Just remind me, I need to unfriend Prue after this, because he beat me. So I played a bunch of stuff. So I played through Glass Masquerade this week, which you guys reviewed way back, and it's really, really good. That's exactly what I wanted. It was like a chill game where you just put together some glass puzzles. There's no time limit. There's no extraneous achievements. It's just you just get an achievement for every one that you do, and then you get an achievement for doing all of them. I just had like a good 3 or 4 hours just sitting there putting them together, trying to figure out what the picture was. Like, it was a really sort of great experience of something that, like, I really enjoy, because I quite enjoy doing puzzles and that sort of stuff in real life. So it was kind of the sort of perfect chill-out experience. So I did that. And then the non-perfect chill-out experience after that was Energy Cycle Edge, that quality title. So I followed a guide. I basically pressed a few buttons and coloured in a few blocks and got 1,000 points in that in about an hour and a bit. So that was fun. Not much more to say there. It's basically the same game, except now it's in multiple dimensions.
Yeah, did you try and do any by yourself?
Nope, not a single one.
Good man.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I knew what I was there for. They knew what I was there for. There was no qualms about it. I wasn't pretending.
Which is ironic, because it is a puzzle game, and you would technically enjoy it because it's a puzzle game, like you just enjoyed Glass Masquerade. But hey, anyway,
that's true. Actually, yeah. But Glass Masquerade had a much better production value. I have a standard, as the rest of this list will show.
Fair enough.
So I also finished up Shenmue 1, as we talked about last week. I had that sort of hour or so left, so I did the 70-man fight, which was quite fun. and then the final boss, and there's a few conversations and long drawn-out cutscenes of trying to leave the town that you're in and go on a boat to Hong Kong. Still a pretty good game. It's, like I said last week, it's still a bit problematic around how it portrays people who aren't Japanese. But you can really see in this one, and especially in Shenmue 2, which I'll talk about in a minute, you can really see the beginnings of the sort of Yakuza series, kind of where all that sort of came together with all these sort of weird mini games and fighting people and combat and all this kind of stuff going on, and basically just all thrown together with a relatively serious story that's not exactly told in a super serious way, except when it is. It's got real interesting. I don't want to say problems, but it has interesting sort of tone. It's kind of all over the place. I mean, it doesn't help that the voice acting is still unbelievably bad. So I got those last couple of achievements there. I played Queen's Quest 2, which was another Artifex Mundi game. It's been a while since I've played one of those, considering they put the prices up, and I don't really like paying the $15 for a game that was really worth $10, and was actually really worth like $5 when I buy it on sale. Not really much to say there. It's a pretty standard game. Looking at TA, there's Queen's Quest 2 and Queen's Quest 3, but the first one isn't out yet, so they have a Gnome's Garden situation, apparently. So I guess I'll probably play the other ones if they go on sale. This one was easy enough. You don't have to play through it once. You don't have to do the whole 2 playthroughs. And it's pretty simple. It took me a few hours. I also played through Ovivo, which I think you guys reviewed last week. It's an interesting game. It took me a few hours to get through. And yeah, it is a platform in the most technical sense, I suppose. But the gravity changing mechanics, I just couldn't quite get my head around for a lot of it. Yeah. I know people say it's a relatively easy game, but the speed at which you need to do it, I never quite got the timing quite right. I mean, I got through it all and I got all the achievements, but it took me a bit longer than I thought it would.
Is it anything like? And there's also anything like VVVVVVV? I think that's a similar mechanic, isn't it?
No. Yeah, sort of, but
no? Okay.
I mean, VVVV is very unforgiving. Like that game's brutal. But this is more kind of like, what was it? 6180.
The gravity mechanic is uncomfortable in this game.
Yeah, like it doesn't quite work the way you would expect it to, because you can only change the gravity when you're touching a surface that you can switch over to, but not if you're directly going. If you're going sideways into it, it doesn't seem to work. It only kind of works if you're going at a sort of diagonal. So you have to be heading down at some stage. I was never quite sure if it was me who had the problem with it or if it was actually the system itself. And there's also quite a few points of no return. There's a lot of like split paths, and if you're not sure which path to take, you can easily screw yourself and have to go back and try and restart the level to get some of the collectibles. But most of them are pretty easy to find, and it's not a difficult game. And the music's interesting. It's a sort of trance, like nice ambient music that I quite enjoyed, because I usually play games with the sound off for the most part. But this one was actually quite nice to listen to. So got all the achievements in that. I did a little bit of Marvel Ultimate Alliance with friend of the show, Clowntastic, Brad. He was looking for some people to do the 4-player achievement for doing 25 missions. By 25 missions, he means going between the one hub to another hub, and apparently that counts. So we got 4 people together and got all the achievements done in about 10 minutes.
Okay, good. You can run me through that then.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you have to have 4 people for it, but we can totally do that. It was super, super easy. And the TA for it's pretty good too. But that's all I did for that game. I really need to get back to Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I know that Brad is trying to find someone who has a hard mode end game save, so we can just get that achievement. Failing that, maybe he'll just play through the game, and I can just use him for the hard mode.
Yeah,
in-game
that
save.
sounds like if no one's got it, he probably should then.
Yeah, it really sounds like he should be the one to take up the torch and actually do that really, really annoying, grindy game.
Yeah, get on that, Brad.
For the benefit of us all. And so I've also played the one we found, which, man, this game. So it's a first-person game where you're going through an asylum, but also through a cave, and you're shooting zombies, and you have a torch.
Is this the one that I reviewed a while back
Yes,
with planting.
Yes,
Yeah.
you and Alex.
ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warren, yeah.
It's not great.
No, it's I mean, it looks like an asset flip, and I'm pretty sure most of the stuff is just basic assets that they've bought to put into the game.
And if I recall,
it's
the
not
controls felt like they just hadn't been tuned for console at all. It was a
Not at
PC
all.
port, and it just played. Yeah, it was really hard to control accurately, and
Is
yeah.
it spooky?
Yeah.
I know.
Bits
No,
of, it was
I don't
one,
want.
It was
no,
one bit
I
of
don't
it.
trust you. You like spooky,
Yeah.
and it's not spooky.
No, it
Nothing.
wasn't-
It actually
like,
isn't. Is it like one bit of it? It was like the wailing like woman who walks around that you
Oh,
can't
yeah,
kill.
the zombies you can't kill.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
Okay.
That was probably the spookiest bit of the entire game. There's probably
Yeah,
a couple of
there
little.
are some parts where you can't use your gun. The rest of the game, you just pull out a machine gun and just mow down endless zombies. I mean, the last achievement in the game I got was for killing 1,000 zombies in the like horde mode.
Yeah,
Just sat there for a couple hours, just shooting them in the head.
that was really
Because the
tedious.
tile looks spooky, and a tile has always
Yeah,
put me off playing it.
It's really not. Like, I wasn't really sure about it, but playing through it, I remembered the review, and I was playing through it, I was like, oh, this, it's like, I feel like I've played this before, and then I realized it was
Yeah.
the one you guys reviewed, and I was like, oh, okay, got a weird deja vu moment here. It's a mess, but like you can finish the main story in maybe an hour and a bit, and then you just have to grind out the horde mode to get 1,000 kills on that, and that probably takes maybe another hour and a half too, depending on how good you are at it.
Yeah, just the last that achievement was just tedious. Yeah, I wouldn't say it'd be particularly scary. I think you'd safely be able to play it. Like, I wouldn't recommend Layers of Fear to you. I would recommend this to you because you wouldn't really find it too shocking.
Which is funny because I've done a playthrough of Layers of Fear.
And that would have been hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Did you see me playing Dead? You did see me playing Dead Space, didn't you?
Yep.
Dead Space 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
You got scared by an
Yeah.
elevator, as I recall.
an elevator. I opened
mate.
myself.
Yep.
I called the elevator, was looking for the monsters, and then the ding happened, and yeah.
Oh, well, I know what we're doing for Friday the 13th.
I genuinely think I just need to make it a fortnightly thing where I just play a spooky game. Blair Witch is gonna look. The problem then becomes that I just don't move in the game, and then it's just a stream of me crying while the character is not moving in the game, which it eventually stops being entertaining.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. That's when we switch to Jackbox Party Pack, as inevitably happens on all of the streams.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Continue. Now I've derailed you.
That's all good. I'm just getting through the list. I finished up Darkness Japan, as I've been talking about for the last few weeks. Finally got Yoda to help me out with the last sort of 20 or so wins that I needed. So now I have to sit there and help him with his 250
Ooh.
at some stage. We'll get there. Yeah, it's
Look,
a grind.
Pretend you lost the disc.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunately this podcast is recorded for posterity's sake, so I have to be honest.
You think he listens?
No,
No,
well,
he might.
yeah, actually, it's a good point. He might do actually. No, it's not. You know.
It's all right. I know you secretly scratched the disc completely, and it's unplayable now. I know.
No, yeah, I took it out of the disk drive, and just like my Xbox fell over, and it just made that grinding noise. And yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, I did that with when I first got my 360. I got Gears of War, and my Xbox fell over. It was the only game I had, and I scored a ring right through it.
Nice.
Oh man, that was 15-year-old me was not happy. I also played Pipe Push Paradise.
Oh, I'm
which is
sorry.
A nice alliteration. Yeah, that game's bad. It's easy. The video guide for it is absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend it. But that game, when I got to the end of the game, I was like, wow, that wasn't that bad. And then it was like, oh, hey, guess what? There's an extra island we put in this. And then after you finish the island, it's like, oh, guess what? There's an extra boat.
Yep. And it's like 90 minutes, but it feels like about 4 hours.
Oh, it does, yeah. It grinds on and on. It does, exactly. Like, I looked at it, and I looked at my completion time. It's like, oh, yeah, 1 hour and 20 minutes. I was like, there's no way. That felt like I was there all day working on that. So, yeah, but I had to make sure I did that without dashboarding, because I know there's some problems with that, so I wanted to just get through all of it in one go.
Yep.
I've also been playing Captain Cat, which was on sale last week. We recommended. I wasn't quite sure what to expect going into the game. It's kind of like a mobile game where you use an anchor and you have to direct it to hit a fish. and it's a bit stupid, but it has a little bit of challenge to it. There's only 50 levels. It's not like crazy hard. It took me like maybe 3 hours to get through. And there's a trick for there's also like a perfect mode where you get like one try on each of the fish. If you skip all the levels except the last one, you get the achievement for finishing all of them.
Oh,
so if you picked up Captain Cat, do the perfect mode and just start it on level 1 and just skip all the way to level 25. And level 25 is not even a difficult level. So you just get the achievement for doing that, save yourself half an hour to an hour, depending on how good you are. And the rest of the levels are pretty simple. You just have to make sure you get all the coins, do it in a good time, and use without changing direction too many times. There's a couple levels that are really finicky around. They have black holes that change which hole you come out of when you go into one, so you just need to time it right. There was one, like the last level 50, got me for a long time because there's a current that goes sideways and then diagonal. You can only hit it when you're going diagonal, because if it goes sideways, you crash into the wall. So you need to go diagonal into a portal, but the portal needs to be the right color, and so you need to get the right color portal and the right direction of the current, and those almost never match up. And every time they did match up, I'd end up screwing it up some other way. So there's a couple of little challenging levels in there, but actually quite a bit of fun playing through it. And then the last one that I've been working on is Shenmue 2. So I figured I finished the first one. It gives you a complete save file, and you can actually load that save file for the second game and carry over all the gacha little things you got and all the moves you learned from the first game, which is a really cool extra addition they put in there. I don't know how that worked on Shenmue 2 from the Dreamcast to the Xbox, if it was even in there. But I think Shenmue 2 is a vastly superior game over the first one. Hong Kong is a lot more of an interesting area. The story makes a little bit more sort of sense, and it feels a bit more like an adventure rather than just wandering around a town aimlessly looking for sailors. It's like, no, you're in a new place. Like, you go into like kung fu schools and like learning martial arts. I did a thing where I punched a tree a bunch, and then I did a bit where I caught some leaves, and then I learned some Tai Chi, and then I did the damn thing with the books. Carrying those damn books out of that library and having to do the quick time event every time. And getting the guy on your case every time you got to like the last two and you ran out of time. He's like, oh, hey, I guess you didn't finish fixing up the books. Should probably come back tomorrow and do that properly. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll come back tomorrow and do it properly. And then come back tomorrow and I would not do it properly. So you have to do it like 4 or 5 times. And every time you drop the books, you lose 15 minutes. And you have to get it done from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you have to stack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stacks of books. And every time you step out of the library, you have to do a quick time event. And any time you move too fast, you have to do a quick time event. And you could drop the books at any time during any of those quick time events. And I'm sure I know people have complained over and over about this mechanic. But man, I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize it was this bad. So, but outside of that, the game's actually quite fun. There's also a box carrying mechanic, which is almost the same thing as the books, except maybe even worse. But you only have to do that once or twice. The game is, like, again, the same thing with the original Shenmue. It's so all over the place. I don't understand how you develop a game like that long ago, saying, okay, so we want to have these combat mechanics in here, and we want to have this, like, story about trying to find the person who killed your father, but you're not really looking for him. You're looking for someone who knows him, so you need to find someone who knows that guy. So it leads you on this wild goose chase looking for a gang, trying to learn martial arts. The voice acting is still terrible. It's still a little bit problematic, especially, again, anyone who's not Chinese or Japanese is portrayed a little weird. But
I'm golden then. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
It'd be like going home for me. Oh, you need to carry these
perfect.
books. Yep, that was daily life. Yeah. It was just, all it was you just got to carry books from one side of the house to the other, and the next day, I actually want them back. Then every day, just that was growing up.
So many books.
Book carrying simulator, 2019.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, yeah. So I've had a fair amount of fun with it. So I've just finished the last part of the Hong Kong part. So about halfway through the game, you get to a point where you find out where this guy is that's been hiding. He isn't in Hong Kong. It turns out you need to go to somewhere else. So I've just moved over to the next location just before we started this. So I'm about halfway through it, and looking forward to see where the next sort of 5 to 10 hours go. From the walkthrough, it looks like there's still quite a bit of game left and quite a few challenges. So be interesting to see. So grand total, I'm sitting at 8,850 this week, but that's probably going to be my best week for a long time because I cleaned up a lot of stuff.
Just real quick, back on Shenmue
Yep.
2. Is there an annoying older sister who punches you perfectly in the spine to paralyze you for like an hour?
Yes, there is. Well, there is an older sister character who basically you get into like 3 sparring matches with her, and the entire thing is you hitting the buttons and her dodging every attack, and then just showing off how much of a badass she is.
Okay, yep, it's exactly like living in a real Chinese household then. All good. Glad we nailed that. Okay, that's a lot of Gamerscore though.
It was a good week. Good week for me. I was really pushing it out.
Yeah, I think I also had probably the biggest Gamerscore week I've had for a while. We'll get to that at the end, but I've actually not been playing a lot of Xbox. I haven't been playing a lot of Xbox for a while, so I have a Switch now, and I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem Three Houses, which came out fairly recently. So I was just playing through my second playthrough of that, and I was doing the completionist thing where I was going through and basically you develop these relationships with all these characters, and I was trying to max out all the relationships so you can like marry whoever you want, and there's all these, you try and pair up students and characters and things like that. So I was basically grinding out that second playthrough quite a lot. But yeah, there are like 4 routes in the game. It's what is it? It's a tactical RPG, I guess you'd call it. This one I think is a little different from previous ones in that there is a lot of, like, there's a sort of a section walking around a school where you do a lot of interacting with students, and there's kind of a bit of a visual novel kind of aspect to it, as well as training and things like that to go on so outside of the battles. From what I gather from other versions of the game, it's mostly just about the battles, and you use those to level up rather than this kind of internal sort of story-driven kind of bit. But yeah, I was really enjoying that. But I think I will put it down for a while because I've just completed the church route, and I spent a lot of time doing battles just to grind up rep between the characters, and I'm a bit burnt out. So I'm going to focus on other things for a while.
I hear Astral Chain is quite good.
Okay.
I've heard really good things about that.
Cool. Yeah, well, this is the first Fire Emblem I've played. But yeah, I guess I've played a bunch of tactical RPGs before. So I played like Final Fantasy Tactics A2 on the DS ages back.
Love that game.
Yeah, and there was another one I've played Disgaea. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Disgaea was basically the sort of Disgaea. I've played the hell out of that in like 3 different platforms, and I still play that occasionally on the DS, just trying to grind my characters up to level stupid and can't beat the extra bosses. So I've played a lot of that sort of stuff. So
Sorry, Astral Chain is essentially the new Platinum Games title on the Switch.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure you liked Bayonetta and that sort of style as well. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Might have been Warren. You both sound the same to me.
It's the accent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But yeah, if you do like Platinum Game stuff, that's getting hugely critically acclaimed.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It seems to be selling quite well, which is unusual for a Platinum game.
Don't they all go Platinum?
Okay. Time to go, Tarragon.
Yeah. That was look, good return. Glad to hate
it's like the Emmys. You start playing the music when the speech goes on for too long.
Other games I've played this week.
Hey, look, Siri made a return.
What? Why? What did I say? No, shut up.
I don't. Will you just cut that bit out?
Yeah, definitely remember that one.
Elite Dangerous. I generally have a weekly or a fortnightly meetup with Tony Coconuts and Planning 42. So we meet up. We're basically doing a long jaunt across the galaxy. We actually crossed the 1-year anniversary of having started this trip. So we've made it all the way across the galaxy, and we're on our way back now. We're probably about a quarter of the way back. So, and I think at the rate we're going, we'll make it back to the sort of main bubble of civilization just as they drop a major content update in December, which is the Fleet Carriers update. So I'm quite looking forward to that. And also being back in Civilization in the game, so to speak. And I guess the other game I sort of started, and I was actually a bit excited to hear this came out because I didn't realise they were doing a version of it, is Final Fantasy VIII, which was the very first Final Fantasy I ever played and holds a special place in my heart because it's sort of what made me fall in love with Final Fantasy. It's I've just sort of picked that up. And that was actually the only game I played on Xbox in probably the last month, really, except for Elite. And as a result, I've got a grand total of 20 Gamerscore this month. So, yeah, pretty big month for me. Yeah.
That's a month high.
Mm.
No, but it's good to hear all the board game stuff earlier, because I know I try to play board games, but I don't particularly have a circle of friends that also enjoys that, so I find it difficult at times.
Yeah, well, you can have a look around for, there's often like board game meetups, and I know in Melbourne at least there's like several board game cafes where you can just go and sit down and they'll have games on hand that you can play. But yeah, certainly board game meetups are a good way to kind of get started in that if you're struggling to find people.
Look on Facebook or something, they usually have tons of groups.
Yeah. And meetup as well. It's good for that.
Just be careful, because I'm sure that most of the Darwin groups have alligator wrestling as a prerequisite.
Yeah, what's your point?
Yeah, okay, fair. I'm just saying that.
Do you not have to wrestle sheep in New Zealand before you join a group?
No, well, they actually that's the part of the initiation is that they give once you join the group, they give you a pair of Velcro gloves.
Moving right along.
There's your clip for the week.
Okay. But before we get into our game tips, where we talk about all our games with gold, which we did get man, they're getting later and later with those announcements. It's killing me. I think it was like the day before the month turned over or something. I just wanted all of us here at the Real Gamerscore podcast wanted to give a quick shout out to Ghost World. Had a tough week this week. Yeah, your wife's out of a job. Hopefully, you can get back on your feet pretty soon, and things will start to turn around. It's awful to get hit with multiple bad things, but that's how it tends to go, isn't it? Bad things come in threes, is the saying.
Yeah, so when it rains, it pours.
Yeah. Best wishes from everyone here, and fingers crossed that things turn around sooner rather than later. Yeah. Car dying and whatnot. Car troubles just make things spiral. Everything just goes because then you just can't do anything when you're so used to it.
Yeah, and family illness, and it's just been seems like it's been a bit of a rough time. So
hopefully everything gets better soon. Games with gold for this month of September. On the Xbox One, we have from the 1st of the 9th to the 30th of the 9th, so out now, you can claim it, is Hitman, so the new episodic reimagining of Hitman. It's some version where you will get all of the DLC, so you get all of the achievement-related content. I think there's maybe like some extra guns and stuff that you don't get, but they're not necessary. Everything achievement-related comes with it, so that's a really great deal. On the 360 for this first half of the month, we have Earth Defense Force 2025. So from the 1st of the 9th to the 15th of the 9th, that's claimable now. That goes along with the other two Earth Defense Force games that we've had. So they're out of those. So look forward to something new in the next coming month. I don't know. I get that there's a following for it, but it's just weird to have all three. I guess maybe with the new one coming out soonish. Earth Defense Force 5, I think.
Just don't have 200 hours to play killing bugs, as fun as that sounds.
Yeah. Giant bugs. Yep. From the 16th of the 9th to the 15th of October, on the Xbox One, you can get We Were Here. That's a new title dropping onto the Xbox in the Games with Gold program. I think it's a VR port of like a co-op puzzle game, so I believe...
Yes, it's been on PC for a while. it's a really fun asymmetrical co-op game. So essentially, you and a friend are in two different spots, and you have puzzles on each other's sides, and you have to help each other solve the puzzles by looking for clues for their puzzle on your side, and they do the same for you.
Interesting. All right, I
think that we should definitely play that together, Chen, at some stage.
Oh yeah, you and I, that would be awesome. It'd be amazing. Right after Human Fall Flat.
Yep.
Need to mop up that DLC. And then on the 360, in the last half of the month, we have Tekken Tag Tournament 2 from the 16th to the 30th. That was previously given away for free, I think, during 2017 or 2016 E3. I think it was like a mistake and they rolled with it. There was like can't remember off the top of my head, but if you didn't pick it up then when it was free, you get it now. It's a pretty good fighting game. I don't think it's too difficult either. Some of the training missions are tough because it's always
but the rest of it's pretty simple. I mean,
it's always the tutorials.
Tekken is usually a relatively easy game, even for someone like me who's terrible at fighting games. I got through it.
Yeah, I think I'm most of the way through the tutorial stuff, but sometimes it just gets beyond me. In the sales this week, it's a pretty big sale. There's quite a chunk of stuff. Lots of the... Funny enough, we mentioned that Telltale got revived. Plenty of the Telltale and Walking Dead games now owned by Skybound are on sale. So I think most of the full seasons for about $10 US, $10.04 pretty much.
So I guess they got relisted then? When did that happen?
Yeah, so like the Wolf Among Us is up. It's the two Batman games as well. I think are in a bundle for $15. So yeah, I'm not sure what's. I guess they're starting to make their move in saying we're back, kind of a deal. Anyway, we have the Arcade Game Series 3-in-1 pack, which is your Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug. That's on sale. That's 50% off and $3.99. It's a great bundle. Doodle God Evolution is 40% off, $8.99. The Wolf Among Us, as I said, that's a sort of one standout. It's 50% off, $7.49. All of the Walking Deads, so Season 1, 2, New Frontier, Michonne, are on sale for $10.04 for the full season. I can't remember. I forgot to write it down. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the final season is also on sale. I'm going to quickly vamp, but it's right there. So it's 33% off. It's $13.39. So it's still pretty good pricing for that, especially because I consider it to be the best of the lot. Really, I mean, you kind of need to play them all, but it does a great job at wrapping everything up. Tekken 7 is finally getting to a reasonable price for how long it takes to beat. It's 70% off, $14.99. Royal Roads is 50% off, $4.99. That's a Gnome's Garden clone. Highly recommend them. Has an easy mode as well, so there's no timer. Rise of Insanity is 30% off, $6.99. Hopefully, I think all the bugs have been fixed for that. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
there's a couple of little ones around the little flying mini game you have to do that can not pop.
Yeah.
So I had to play through it twice, but the game's so short that it's not really an issue.
Yeah. Adam's Venture Origins is 90% off, $2.99. I don't recommend it even at that price. It's an awful game. It really is. It's reasonably easy game score, but it's just terrible. And the dialogue is bad.
Play it with the sound off and just speed run it.
Yeah. LER is 75% off, $3.24. Great walkthrough on True Achievements. Fearful Symmetry and the Cursed Prince, 90% off, 99 cents. Yes, absolutely. How do you not have it at 99 cents yet? We don't even need to mention it because you've just bought it because you're like, game for 99 cents, definitely, regardless of what it is.
And it's not Crypt of the Serpent King. Wow, what a deal.
No, that's a good deal though too. that's a quality game there. That's better than Adam's Venture.
Oof.
Get Even is 75% off, $7.49. Hero Express 25% off, $3.74. Planet Alpha 67% off, $6.59. We Are the Dwarves 75% off, $3.74. That's like Ratalaika. You don't need to play the full game to get all the achievements.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm stuck at a bit though. I can't figure out how to progress.
There are some a little bit of tricky bits because the game itself is not very well polished. Yeah. But like if you can struggle through some of it, most of it's pretty easy.
I'm at a bit where it feels like I need to like rocket jump somewhere because I can't find the path to the next bit. I don't know. Yoku's Island Express 67% off, $6.59. It is also in Game Pass though, so if you have Game Pass, you don't need to purchase it.
Definitely play it. Highly recommended.
Yeah, really good Metroidvania pinball game. And Yooka-Laylee is 75% off, $9.99. Likely discounted to promote the new game, which we picked up the achievement list today for, which was Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Why they felt another Yooka-Laylee was needed, I don't know, but there it is.
I had no idea about that.
Didn't Yooka-Laylee do reasonably well?
I think it did relatively well. I mean, it wasn't as critically acclaimed as they were hoping, but apparently it sold pretty well.
Yeah, I guess selling well is all you need, hey? I don't like it. Again, it's that nostalgia thing. You love Banjo-Kazooie and that, you love the game, but I'm just like, yeah, nah. Anyway, those are the sales. So, as we said, big sales, lots of good stuff. Plenty of stuff we didn't mention, so go check it out. Matt, what in particular should people purchase from this sale?
So I was looking through the list, and I think the Little Nightmares collection, 70% off for $8.99. So Little Nightmares is a side-scrolling game in the style of sort of Limbo or Inside, although it has three-dimensional, so it's not just 2D. You can move in the foreground and background. It has a lot of stealth mechanics, a lot of sort of physics puzzles, that sort of stuff, in a very creepy sub. It also has a lot of weird Miyazaki vibes in a weird way. It reminds me, like especially the last few episodes of it, the last two parts of it, remind me a lot of Spirited Away, with a lot of weird spirits and like odd creatures and some really, really dark, macabre stuff. The Nightmare Collection also comes with all the DLC for it, which I think there's 2 or 3 DLC packs which have sort of separate stories that all sort of tie into each other.
Yeah, I think they're quite important to the story.
Yeah, so and I would say it's a quality title. There's only one sort of difficult achievement with it, which is to do the game on hardcore, which I believe is to do it without dying. The game's not very long, and there are some ways to cheese it a little bit. So I would highly recommend that.
All right. And I had to put 2 answers because my first one's kind of... I recommend it, but people won't get it, even though I recommend it. Well, most people won't. It does have an unobtainable, so that I've stated off the bat, yeah. But Necropolis is 75% off, $7.50. It is a really, really well done sort of dungeon crawler roguelite where the combat style is Dark Souls. So you sort of pick up different weapons and stuff, and they will have different styles of attacks. It's, relatively short. I think a full run through, if you get through it all, is like 2 or 3 hours. It's got that quick roguelite hit. As I said, it does have an unobtainable, and one of the achievements is quite difficult to get. It'll require multiple playthroughs again and again to earn. So the better you do, you earn a currency. You use that currency in the shop. You have to buy all of the things to unlock this achievement. But it's really well done. It's quite an old game as well. But I have a ton of fun playing it. There's there's I think a range. I'm pretty sure there's 2 different characters you can pick. The quicker character who will attack slightly faster but won't do as much damage, and a brute has a bigger hitbox but can take more damage and will have stronger hits, and a huge variety of enemies and stuff. It's really good. Because it has an unobtainable, I have to recommend a different game. And I went through, and there was nothing that really stood out to me. Even this one, I would say for the price, I would still maybe wait for something a bit of a steeper sale. Remy Law, 25% off, $29.99. It's again a roguelite, but it's a very anime-influenced roguelite. So you are a girl who finds a magical book in a library and are transported accidentally to this magical world, and you progress through relatively randomized. It's not a huge deal of randomization, but you get a ton of different weapons and different magic spells that the book can do, and you have to defeat enemies, and there's a pretty interesting story running through it, and the constant little quips, and you and the book go back and forth, have little conversations is really interesting. And it's like, it feels like you're playing an anime. That's the easiest way to do it. It's Weeb Central.
It's an isekai, a roguelite, basically.
It's an isekai roguelite. It's exactly what I want. Oh my god.
God, that's awful.
This is my dream game. It's great. No, it's really good. There's some iffy achievements, but there's guides for them. Some of them require you to do really specific things because they're broken slightly. But no, it's good. It's a ton of fun, tons of different weapons. I mean, there's an S-ranked one-handed sword that's a chocolate-covered banana on a stick.
Oh yes, I remember you talking about this.
The S-ranked weapon.
It's all springing into place.
Yeah, great game. But look, it's got the roguelite price bump, so even $30 is probably too steep. I would bite at maybe $25-$20. So that, I mean, I got it at full price because I have to own everything roguelite, because that's my thing. But as a recommendation, probably 25 is where I'd really push you onto it. What do you think? Obviously, Tarragon isn't going to recommend anything because it's all trash, because it's not. Final Fantasy VIII isn't on sale, so there's nothing to recommend.
True. Well, I mean, I'd say just looking at what was on sale there above, Get Even would probably be my pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played through it and played it already, but it's kind of got a little bit of sort of sci-fi and mind-bending kind of memory exploration kind of mechanics, a little bit of horror kind of tropes in there, and unreliable narrator as well, kind of things going on in the story. So it's quite interesting. As a story, it's actually really good, and some of the mechanics are pretty interesting. So yeah, I'd Get Even would be my pick.
All right. Anything you're looking to purchase, Matt?
Yeah, so I'll probably pick up Doodle God because I'm a glutton for punishment, and I just need to combine stuff and follow a guide again. This will be like the third or fourth time I've done them.
Evolution's the new one?
This one, I think, is the new one.
Right?
Yeah,
this one, Evolution.
Yeah, Evolution, because I did the Crime City was the previous one, and then they did a one before that. I think it was just regular Doodle God.
Yeah.
So I think this will be the third time that I'm going to combine stuff that together doesn't make any sense to make more things that don't make sense. Yeah. I'd probably pick up Royal Roads, even though I shouldn't, but it's got an easy mode, so...
It's much longer than the others as well. I just want to point that out.
Okay, I'll give it a look.
Double the length. I think there's 100 levels.
Wow, okay. The game's not good enough for me to be like, oh, hey, I'll jump on that, so we'll see. Yeah. Hero Express I might pick up because it looks like it's simple.
Yeah, it's kind of like a baby's first trials.
Okay, so I might do that. Well,
you got a little timer, or it's gasoline. So once your gas runs out, you get some coins, you upgrade your vehicle, go again. So it's just kind of bash your head against the wall until you finish. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much how I play games in general, so perfect. I might pick that up.
So I'm looking at RGX Showdown. I think this is just a crappy arcade racer, and I love crappy arcade races. One Piece World Seeker, Planet Alpha, and Overruled. Overruled's been one of those ones that's been on sale a bunch. I've kind of looked at it and gone, I don't really know what it is, and I don't really like. So I'm like, it's cheap enough now. I'll get it. I'll see what it is. I still don't know what it is. It's like a Smash Bros style fighter with training missions. So that single screen arena fighting of some kind. I don't know.
Let me know how it is, because I have it through my game share.
Okay.
I haven't started it yet, so I'd be interested to hear more about it before I start it.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about picking up One Piece World Seeker as well, but it's still just a little bit too expensive.
Yeah, that's on the the borderline of I'll see what else I get and see how high it's pushing it. New games. We have a few. I mean, we got the big titles coming out, but starting Wednesday, we have Post-War Dreams, which is a side-scrolling platformer third-person shooter. So you do your side-scrolling platformer stuff, and then enemies will pop up in the background, and you have to your character will sort of rotate to shoot at them, but you can also go like behind cover and stuff. So it's really, I've looked at it and it's really weird to watch.
That actually reminds me of the original Shadow Complex when they had those turret sections.
Yeah, that 2.5D. That's kind of like that, except it seems like the aiming is a little bit better. Like you go into a zoom, like you specifically go into a zoom in mode with a reticule, as opposed to just trying to angle your stick backwards into the screen. Yeah. Drab color palette though. It's like all your browns and your creams and all that nonsense. Monochrome Order, new Kemco title. It's going to be an old school JRPG of some kind. You'll have access to it.
Yeah, let me know how it is, Brad.
Yeah. Throne Quest Deluxe. Looks like an open world twin stick shooter RPG kind of. So it's an RPG game, but the attacking is all sort of twin stick based. Pixel art style. It looks really sort of basic and simple, like the quests, again, just going to be like fetch quest or kill X enemy, or like it doesn't look like it's going to be super complex. Hymno, the new Ratalaika title coming out tomorrow. 2D platformer, there's leveling up mechanics. It looks kind of Metroidvania, like you would get power-ups that allow you to access more areas. The store description said randomized level layout, so that concerns me that it might be a bit roguelite-y. Though the full playthrough video I found was 27 minutes long, so yeah, it not as scary as I first thought. One I am looking forward to on Thursday is River City Girls, which is River City Rampage, except this time the girls are the heroes, and the boyfriends get kidnapped.
Great.
Yeah. So, I think River City Ransom is good, so, yeah. Look, cool. It reminds me, I mean, having not played River City Ransom, it reminds me of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, that beat-em-up style.
Another great side-scrolling beat-em-up, yeah.
Yeah. Friday, we have Creature in the Well, which is a dungeon-crawling pinball game. It looked really good at E3. It's going straight into Game Pass.
That's a couple of genres to throw together, yeah.
Yeah, so, you progress through these dungeons,
How does that even
and you
work?
have... you progress through these dungeons, and you have... I don't know if they're found within the rooms, or you have just, like, these three sort of orbs, but you hit them, like, hack and slash style to power them up whilst you're aiming them, and then when you stop slashing them, they will shoot off in the direction you're aiming, and there's your sort of your pinball bumpers, the round bumpers to bounce off in between, and other things like that will open up puzzles and stuff. So, and that's how the combat works as well. You use these balls to attack enemies, and they ricochet off things. Yeah, I'd recommend looking at a trailer, because it did look really, really interesting, and I think I'm probably going to dive this on Friday as soon as it comes out. Restless Hero is a side-scrolling platformer with a really easy achievement list. The only kicker is that the achievements require claiming in the shop in the main menu, so once you've met the requirements, you need to go then and claim them, and they'll unlock. So if you wanted to use them for some kind of competition, you could preload them by doing them all and just not claiming them. But
nobody does that.
The ratio is going to be super low, so it's going to be no use to this iteration of GTASK, but maybe a UHH in the future, or whatever you need it for. You can set it up,
or you could just go and complete your games and just take them off.
Yeah. Well, I need to do some of those. I need to finish off Phoenix Wright. Now that I'm not in the competition. NBA 2K20 comes out on Friday as well. Scum of the Earth. Tuesday, Trials Rising DLC comes out. Crash and Sunburn. I'm sure it's just going to be more Trials, and that's never a bad thing for the people who enjoy it. It's a good game, well made. WRC 8 comes out on Tuesday. The Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive Series comes out on Tuesday.
Okay.
So that's It's by Skybound.
Skybound.
And it's, Seasons 1 with 400 days, Season 2, Michonne, New Frontier, and the final season. All in one, and it's only 1,000 Gamerscore as well.
That's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate
that's a
if you wanted to...
50-hour experience.
Yeah, if you wanted it as a Gamerscore game, it's disappointing. For anyone sort of who just wants the experience and maybe this is the first time, it's a great bundle. I think it's like $50. So, probably worth it. We have Blasphemous, which is a sort of Metroidvania Dark Souls style game. Pixel art side scroller. Looks pretty good. Looks difficult. Definitely, I'm not going to touch it. I'm just not. Yeah. No. I tried with Sekiro and it just went poorly, so I'm out.
Yeah.
Greedfall. We're coming to the end of this. Greedfall is it looks like it's an action RPG sort of open world-ish game. It looks pretty generic, but it seems like you have a lot of customization. So, you could be a stealth-based character or a magic user or a knight in armor and a weapon. But the gameplay and stuff feels very generic from what I watched. Who knows though? All your RPG stuff could go either two ways, where they're fantastic and epics, or they're kind of just like, ugh. Gears 5 also comes out on Tuesday. I know Alex will be excited for that. He'll be straight on that. That's also straight into Game Pass as well. And eFootball PES 2020 comes out on Tuesday. I don't know why they went with that name change. Like, I get it's technically eFootball, but I'm sure PES 2020 was fine. There's no need to add an eFootball to it.
Is there like an...
It's just in case you don't know what sport it is.
Is there any football league? Like professional, sort of, not professional, but like a...
There are tournaments. I don't know about PES. There's definitely FIFA tournaments. I'm sure there's probably PES tournaments, but there are EA-run FIFA tournaments that happen.
I just wonder if it's done for renamed for that reason.
Potentially.
Branding.
I mean, they I'm not going to talk sports. You guys won't. they got a very good exclusive team signed to PES, so that team won't be in FIFA, and it's a relatively big team. Knobs and Discos, the only one that's just come in as we were doing the show, because I told my staff, I said, "Yep, get on this finally." Shadowgate, the remastered remake of Shadowgate. The achievements have been fixed for a relatively long time. We were just sort of waiting for people to unlock them to make sure that the patch had done its job. So, yep, they're fixed, and I think the whole game is completable now, which is good, because it was like the last game. So there was, make 100 potions, make 200 potions, make 600 potions, and it was the 600 one that was broken, and it was that for all of the sort of cumulative achievements. So, good to get that fixed. We have one community question from Hawkeye Barry 20. He says, "I think the variety and affordability of Game Pass are causing people to not buy new games and waiting for them to come to Game Pass or other games. As of the 2nd of September, Control has been out for," he says 7 days. I don't think it was 7 days at that point, but still about the same time as the next game he talks about. But Control has been out and has 4,400 players on True Achievements. Also, as of 2nd of September, Blair Witch has been out for 4 days and has 8,200 players on site. Blair Witch, the ID at Xbox game, has almost doubled the players on True Achievements compared to a probably AAA game in Control in less time. What do you think of long-term consequences of this possibility of waiting for games? Would some studios think about not releasing an Xbox version of their game unless they accept it would need to join Game Pass at some time to make a profit?
Firstly, updated stats on that. Blair Witch actually has 12,000 tracked gamers, or nearly 13,000 tracked gamers on TA versus the nearly 5,000 for Control now. So it's actually jumped up a bit. I would argue that they're slightly different beasts. I would also argue that I think Control is probably a little bit special in the sense that it's one of the first games that is taking advantage of the ray tracing hardware on the NVIDIA. So a lot of people would be drawn towards their high-end PC rigs to play that game just because it's really showcases that particular technology. So I suspect that might be playing a part. Plus, it is a full-price game. Versus,
it is multi-platform as well.
Yeah, and it's multi-platform. Like with Blair Witch is, I don't know if it's exclusively Xbox or whatever, but I presume it's on other platforms too. But it's on
PC and Xbox.
It's also just a sort of game you can also, because it's on Game Pass, a lot of people have Game Pass, they can just try it. So it's not necessarily going to be a game that they go out and would have bought otherwise. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a slightly different beast. If Blair Witch was a AAA game on the same rating as, say, Control, then you could make that argument, but I'm not sure that it's quite fair in this situation.
I think maybe Gears 5 or something might be a better comparison.
Yeah, for sure. But...
Yeah. We also don't know the breakdown of profit from being on Game Pass. So Control probably has the majority of the money going to it. I don't know how much Blair Witch gets from being on Game Pass based on the users, so we can't really effectively discuss that specific point. It is interesting that Blair Witch arguably is a more niche title in being a horror game. Horror games in general are slightly more niche than, what was a shooter in essence. Yeah, but because it's on Game Pass, it's getting a bump. I don't think Remedy were concerned that their game was not on Game Pass. I don't feel like that was a concern to them, and that they were deciding whether they should be. That probably didn't even cross their minds.
Not yet.
And particularly as I think they've had a relatively rocky relationship with Microsoft for a while, with the publishing arm as well. So, yeah, I suspect that's not really been on their radar.
Yeah. The other factor is Quantum Break went on sale relatively quickly and price dropped relatively quickly. And I think people are more likely to be waiting for that.
Yeah, whereas Blair Witch is just there and it's essentially free. So,
quote unquote.
Yeah. I think that you're right, and I think that's part of the subset that we live in, is that, first of all, we look at what the game is, what the achievements are like, how much it costs, how long it takes us to get through it. And some of those considerations are the same for most gamers, and some of them aren't, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously achievements are more important to us than they are for some people, and looking at the achievements for Blair Witch, they look relatively simple. Controls look relatively simple as well, to be fair.
But longer.
Longer, exactly. More involved.
Interestingly, though, Blair Witch, even though it has nearly 13,000 track gamers, only 5 have actually completed the game. It's like about a 0.04% and like a 10,000 TA at the moment.
It looks like most of it's to do with the collectibles, though.
Yeah, but you would think that it'd have a higher completion rate than that. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe it's just most people haven't got the guides out for it yet or something, but yeah. So
far, I've been checking it pretty much every day because I do want to jump into it, but I want to make sure that I can actually go through and finish it because it does require multiple playthroughs as well.
There's about 50 who are above 20 out of 25 achievements, so there's still a small. Oh, wait, is that 50? Yeah, one page out of about 100. Sorry.
It's still a small number for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm very interested in Control. Like, I definitely want to play that. It looks fantastic. I'm mildly interested in Blair Witch. I probably wouldn't have paid for it unless it was on a really big sale or was on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Having said that, I don't buy AAA games at all these days, unless they're deeply discounted or they end up on Game Pass or Games with Gold, which a lot of them do these days. The ones that I'm actually interested in.
Interesting. Yeah, Blair Witch, I wouldn't have paid $45 for it. That's what the price is in Australia, at least. I certainly wouldn't have paid that for it. I would have probably bit at maybe a $20 price point. Control, on the other hand, I have bought. It's literally arrived in the mail for me today, and I haven't played it yet because I was waiting for the physical copy to arrive. So, Control, I guess, just because of the pedigree of the company that makes it, that was a sort of an automatic buy for me, just because I really liked Alan Wake and I really like Quantum Break. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while. But on the other hand, I don't buy a lot of AAA games either. So this is
Blair
an
Witch
exception.
is Team Bloober or Bloober Team who did Layers of Fear. So
Okay, yep.
Yeah, but they're owned by Microsoft, aren't they?
are they? I don't know. But I was just saying
It's
because I know
published and developed by.
Published it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I know you enjoyed Layers of Fear in the general sense. So
yeah, certainly Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear 2, not so much.
yeah.
And I've got mixed feelings about the Blair Witch IP. So I guess I'm not really sure how it would play into a game. And also, I think the thing about Blair Witch, just as getting into the actual horror genre, the Blair Witch IP was, I think, strongest when you knew nothing about it. When they tried to expand it with the sequels or the remake, and they revealed more of it, I think that kind of took away from the actual what made it good originally. And I worry that the game does the same thing. So
that's what I've been hearing so far, is that it has a strong start, but as with a lot of horror games, the longer you get to look at the game, the more the less scary it becomes, which is kind of a problem with the genre in general, to be fair. But
yeah, you have to have that. You have to have that thing. You can't just have the suspense, because then eventually the suspense isn't enough.
Because then you end up with Amnesia: Machine for Pigs, where it's all suspense and no payoff.
And it stops being like, because it's all suspense. You just go, oh, well, I'm just going to keep doing the puzzle then and move on.
It's a walking simulator, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I agree, when Gears 5 comes out, I think that'll be I imagine it'll smash Control.
It will, but also it's exclusive to Xbox and PC, I imagine. So there's another difference there. The only place you can get it on is on this platform. Plus, Gears has a huge following, obviously. Control's a new IP. Yeah, it's very hard to. There's a lot of things to think about when factoring in these things. Yeah. But
Control has, obviously, I'm actually going to go to PSN Nation, because that's going to have more accurate numbers.
While you're looking for that, just thinking about the long-term possibilities of this sort of model. I mean, we're seeing this more and more things coming straight into Game Pass, as long as Microsoft has creative control or publishing control over those things. Anything they're publishing pretty much comes straight in there. All the Gears, Crackdown was in there. I mean, Crackdown 3 was the perfect example of a Game Pass game. It was not worth buying at retail, and you might have picked it up for cheap, but you would have. Microsoft sort of gets the best of both worlds, because they have the low investment point, because most people have Game Pass because they're basically giving it away. And you get to play the game as soon as it comes out, so their marketing push actually works, because it gets people to play the game with low investment, gets the discussion going, but you don't feel ripped off, and you don't feel like you have to wait for a sale for it to be worthwhile. It's kind of the perfect thing, to be honest.
It encourages people to dip into games a lot more than they would otherwise.
Exactly. Like Blair Witch is not my kind of game, to be honest. Like, I didn't like Outlast. I don't really like the sort of horror things all that much. But given that it's basically free, the achievements look relatively simple, and there's been some talk about it, and they've been hyping it up a bit. Now's the perfect time for me to jump in. Whereas normally I would have waited, 6 months to a year, and then picked it up, and no one's talked about it, or there's a walkthrough out. But once the only time I would talk about it would be here on the podcast, 6 months later, and we would sort of brush over it and say, oh yeah, and I remember that when that came out, this was this, and that, and that would be pretty much it. Whereas if you're playing it now, you can have a discussion, people are interested. It's a brilliant move on their part. The only problem that they have is that they just don't have the buy-in from everyone outside of Microsoft to get onto Game Pass immediately.
Okay, so True Trophies has about 3,000 people on Control, but again, trophy hunting's a bit of a different beast. The site that I would consider actually a trophy hunting site has 2,700. So less than True Trophies, which I was surprised about.
Is it on Steam or is it on Epic? I forget.
I believe it'd be Steam.
So I wonder if there's Steam numbers.
Control, yeah, it's on Steam. I don't know how to see numbers on Steam.
Yeah, I think that's a bit tricky to find, actually, if I recall.
You have to go like Steam DB or something. But
anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, I think it does have an effect, but I think it's more people waiting for a sale, at least for me, than people going, oh, it's not on Game Pass, I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah, it's like, so I'll either wait for a Control to be on a sale or I'll wait for it to come into Game Pass, but I'll do whatever's easier for me. And I think the other thing is that we have such big backlogs that I don't really feel like I have to play everything immediately. If it's on Game Pass, that's a good incentive for me to play it. But if it's not on Game Pass, then I'll just wait, because I don't need it right now, because I'm probably not going to play it right now unless I have some incentive to.
Mm-hmm. All right, so thanks for the question, Hawkeye Barry. We have milestones next. Pretty milestones. We have a fair few. I, of course, didn't order them because that would be ridiculous. Why would I put them in any order? No, sorry. I say that every time. It's in chronological order, alright? That's the only order. Tropan has reached a new milestone of 700,000 True Achievement score, quickly followed by Neomaster, who's tripled it with 2.1 million True Achievement score.
Who's that?
Ghost... Yeah, that's the guy that got eliminated from G-Task. Yeah. Ghost World has reached a new milestone of 400 completed games. I was hesitant to put this in because technically he reached this milestone, but he only reached it because he's dropped down and made his way back up. But Professor Pluto reached a new milestone of 90 completion percentage. He did drop down from 93 because he started a bunch of new games and has worked his way back up. I don't know if that's really a milestone.
Yeah, come on, Pluto. Those are rookie numbers.
He also uses fake completion percentage.
Oh, wow.
Only DLC I own.
Throw away the whole completion percentage then.
Yeah. He's probably actually like at 75 or something, if he added DLC. Craig Kilger has reached a new milestone of 200 completed games. Tropan has also reached 16,000 achievements won. Buck Marley 155 reached 600,000 Gamerscore. Kingsman 2625 reached 500 games played. That came with a bunch of other stuff that I forgot to put in. It was like 250 completions and I think 500,000 True Achievement score.
Wow.
Gonna be embarrassed when that's completely wrong. 390,000 Gamer score. It probably could have been 500,000 TA score. He doesn't play baby games like I do though, so it's probably higher. Matty L22L has reached 50,000 gamer score. Good job. You that puts you in like the top 10% already, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Oh, just under maybe. Yeah, pretty good. And Kushmoose has reached 13,000 achievements won. So good job to everyone in the community. Keep them coming. More. We want more. I want everyone. All of us have to participate in the talking. That wasn't enough. Sometimes we have too much. That time it wasn't enough. So, as is usually the case, we've got to the milestones. We're getting to the end of the show. If you'd like to contact us for any reason at all, you can send an email to us, hello@realgamerscore.com. It does work. We've gotten emails through there. It's great. Isaac loves sending emails. I love getting the emails. I don't know what it is. It's like getting a letter nowadays. I like getting a real letter from a real person because I'm like, that was effort. I feel like emailing is a lot more effort than like putting it on Twitter, even though it's, the same thing kind of. Speaking of Twitter though, our Twitter account is @RealGamerscore. As we mentioned at the start of the show, if you want to contact us in real time, discord.io/RealGamerscore. Come join the chat server and just have a ball of a time. This rambling happens constantly. It's not just podcasts. This is me 24/7. Just always.
And I very occasionally pipe in as well.
It does. Enough. If you are in that Elite Dangerous channel, it's all Spaceman. No one else is allowed to talk in there.
Pretty much.
If you'd like to contribute to us monetarily, we thank you, and you can do so at patreon.com/realgamerscore. Feel free to write in questions to the show, just like Hawkeye Barry did. We'll answer them. We love any reason to talk more, really. If you're interested in being on the show, contact Professor Pluto on True Achievements or Discord. Get in touch with him. He'll help you get organized, and we'll get you on. if you want to help out the podcast non-monetarily, I still don't think I said that right. Whatever. I'll definitely cut that bit. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, or whatever you listen to. If you listen on Stitcher, subscribe there. Spotify, iHeartRadio, thank you, Kingsman. Wherever else you listen to the podcast. Leave a review. The iTunes reviews just tend to be better in terms of pushing us up as opposed to other places. But review us wherever. Our aggregator will get it, or it won't, and you can let us know that we missed you. Because seriously, we love reviews. Tell all your friends. Word of mouth is a big way to promote the show. It's the easiest way. Just like now we're doing awesome clips at the start of the show. Just play the first 10 seconds of the show and they'll be hooked. They'll have to listen to the rest of it and be really annoyed that it didn't happen for 52 episodes, you know? Retweet us on Twitter. We've got a new social media guy who will be going... Hopefully Alex has finally given him all the details for the account and he'll be going ham. He'll just be everything. There'll be memes. There'll be pro gamer moves. There'll be everything. It'll be great. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Most of our reviews go up there when I can remember to record the footage. Look, you take it or leave it. I am what I am. Love me or hate me. If people want to get in touch with you, Matt, we'll go to Matt first. How could they contact you?
As I say every week, I love hearing from the fans. They're always my favorite people. It's always good to hear feedback on the show. Best way to get in contact with me is Neomaster on True Achievements or Neomaster on the Discord. I'm usually in there. So yeah, make sure you send us some messages. I'm always down to... I'm in the Looking for Group channel as well, trying to do boosting and that sort of stuff. Always willing to help out. So yeah, love the community, love the fans. Hit me up whenever you want.
All right. Tarragon, do you want people to contact you?
Not really, but if they want to...
Okay, move on.
If they want to, zzUrbanSpaceman on True Achievements will get to me if you pay me there, and on Discord as well.
Awesome. And I can be found on Twitter, on trueachievements.com, on Xbox Live, on Discord, not on Facebook. Well, I can be found on Facebook, but not under this name. And you can also find me streaming on Mixer. You can't because I haven't been, but you can maybe. Just follow me and then you'll know when I stream. All of this is under ChinDocta. ChinDocta. I almost forgot how to spell my own gamertag. That I was like N. There's a letter after N, but I don't remember. But yeah, no, this has been a great episode 57. We have loved having Tarragon back.
Oh, thanks.
We're contemplating kicking Alex out permanently. He doesn't know yet. He'll find out when he listens. But we just have Tarragon every week. I mean, the listeners won't know the difference. It'll be fine. It's just a deep-voiced Australian would be golden. Except he doesn't run the show. That's the only difference. Anyway, thank you for listening. You'll hear from us next week in episode 58. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Cheers.
See you later.